Braeden, you've
Night is
been
day is
outside in the
turning to night
daytime,
in
the
Braden's
nighttime.
house.
It's now dark, so
It's now dark.
we gotta keep going.
How are the
You gotta keep going.
mosquitoes?
None, thank God.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, we're roughing it
there you
right
go.
now.
Oh, gotta love it.
Yeah, we're no bug spray, nothing yet. So
Uh-oh.
I think he
we're
just wanted to show off his
thriving.
arms. Just showing off the
Yep.
forearms. You've been doing the
Just showing off the
wrist
pipes.
curls. There you go.
Something like that.
And then theme song. Well, 42 games down and a whole lot of real estate to go. The IBL playoffs is here. Welcome to another edition of the IBL Inside Pitch. He's Neil Srivastava. He's Braeden Ferrington. My name is Mark Pare. And guys, just first of all, just to start off on a somber note, obviously, with the Kitchener Panthers losing Bob McKillop. He passed away on Saturday morning after a long battle with cancer, just at 83 years of age. Obviously, a four-time IBL MVP, only one of three players to actually do that in IBL history. We'd be doing a 5-hour episode if we had to list off all the accolades that he had, not only on the field but off the field. Obviously, he was a catcher and a pitcher, among the tops in uh, Panthers franchise history on both sides of the ball. Obviously, he was an all-star manager as well, did a whole lot. But just wanted to start this episode. I felt like it was right to start this episode,
Oh, no question.
just to send out condolences to the McKillop family and everybody that knew Bob around the Kitchener-Waterloo area. He was very much involved in the community, not only in baseball but other sports as well. But
Yep.
again, our thoughts go out to McKillop's family and friends.
Oh, exactly. He just lost his wife not so long ago as well, and
Mhm.
everything else. And of course, he was the head coach of the University of Waterloo hockey team for 10 years. And he took over. He jumped across the field and he went to football for 6 years after that. And of course, he was the executive director of Baseball Ontario. That's where I got to really know Bob as far as everything else, just relationships with when I was with the Silver Creeks and Nationals and everything else. He was always at the park and always a good sounding board as far as things going on and as far as baseball goes. And of course, he avid hockey guy as well, and just an all around a really great guy to be around, and a guy that was very 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 community minded. And of course, his number is honored by the Panthers. I don't think they actually retire numbers at the Panthers and everything else because I think Caleb Plant actually wore his number 9
Yeah.
this year. But everything, our thoughts are very definitely with the McKillop family, and of course, I know Herb Morrell knew him very well too. He was a good, dear friend of Herbie's, so I know Herbie's having a rough time with this too. So thoughts with Herbie and everybody else, and of course the McKillop family and just all his friends too.
We're going to start actually with the Kitchener Panthers. They are number 9 on the power rankings this week. And, they ended up losing Bob McKillop on the Saturday. The news came out late Saturday night after the game against Guelph. That's when I ended up finding out
Mm.
about it. Sunday morning, the organization behind the scenes, we got everything together to have a tribute, a moment of silence. Sean Ferfaro had a very touching piece that he read in-house at Jack Couch Park on Sunday afternoon.
Mm.
Obviously, we had a graphic done up for the website as well as for the scoreboard at Couch before the game, and they did a very good job. And the Kitchener Panthers, despite getting blown out in Welland on Thursday, and then they blow the lead against Guelph on Saturday. They won one for Bob on Sunday afternoon. A game that didn't really
No
mean
question.
anything whatsoever in the standings against the Welland Jackfish. But they put on a very very good show against the Jackfish, and won one for Bob to finish off the regular season.
I think they did actually. And it wasn't the Welland Jackfish taking it easy on them either because they had their
Mhm.
pretty much, I would say, pretty much most of their lineup intact there as far as things. Like, yeah, maybe the guy on the mound and everything else not going to be factoring in the rotation, but guys were doing out there doing jobs and everything else. They were trying their best to, you know, go through the motions, keep the reps up, get things going. So, hey, tip the cap to the Panthers for stealing that one on Sunday.
Yeah, it's obviously it's a somber, occasion.
Yeah.
I unfortunately never got to meet him. But it's a huge loss just for the Kitchener-Waterloo community. It obviously he means a lot to majority of the guys. You obviously got to see him, meet him, and all that. And even everybody within the whole Intercounty Baseball League. So, yeah, Kitchener might be, last in the power rankings, but they went out strong against Welland. So, good kudos to them. It's a long weekend and a lot of mixed emotions, obviously, with this kind of news that breaks. And for the players, you know what, some of them might know him personally, so you don't really. A lot of people don't really factor in the emotional side of these players, but everyone's human, so everybody reacts differently to news like this. So it is what it is on their performance, but at least they got one this weekend.
Just for those that are tuning in right now, obviously we're going through the power rankings right now. Later on in the show, we have 3 special guests with us to break down each and every IBL playoff series. Right now, this section is just for the recapping of what has happened in the past week. And obviously, Kitchener Panthers at number 9 in the power rankings, as they will take on the Welland Jackfish in round number 1. Let's move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are number 8 this week. They split a home and home with the Brantford Red Sox, who are mighty feisty. We'll get more on that in just a moment. But, they have that wild game on Saturday that we just went back and forth and to and fro. What did you guys make of the ending of the regular season for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I think it's kind of a half, thank God it's over, and the other half is okay, now we got to get going here as far as this stuff goes, because this team has just been, I don't know, there's a lot of off-field things going on with Yami Sato coming in, this everything else, and then just how everything else played out with various other players throughout the season as well. Some injuries they had to deal with and everything else, some departures they had to deal with. So we're not going to touch that one with a poll, but yes, well, you were talking about, and we'll leave it at that. And it's just, it's hard to see, but it's at the same time, it's just like, okay, so I'm still in that question. Like, are they more of a marketing agency or are they a baseball team? Like, that's where I'm still stuck at right now. That's not a slight against the guys that are on the field either. It's just like, in other years, other owners would have, not put up with a lot of this other stuff off the field. Other owners in this franchise would have, cleaned house a lot earlier and dealt with some things and brought some other guys in to move them up this things, because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team.
Yep.
It's the tradition behind the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team, not whatever is on the cap. Yeah, you might be able to sell a few more of them, but it's not what's on the cap, guys. It's the guys that wear the jersey. It's the guys that have laid down the groundwork over the years that have to, you have to respect. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, this puzzling. Like we've talked about it all year, right? Like some days you just don't know who's coming to the field. It could be a really good Toronto Maple Leaf team. Could be a very bad Toronto Maple Leaf team. And this past weekend, you kind of see that, or saw that technically. But you know what? They're moving into the playoffs season, and thank God they start from scratch. It's zeros across the board until the first pitch is thrown. So hopefully they flip the switch and they're there for the better.
All right, that's the Toronto Maple Leafs as they will get the Barrie Baycats in round number 1 of the playoffs that begins later on this week. To the Hamilton Cardinals we go. Went 2-3 in their final 5 games, hitting .264 in the process. Carlos Dominguez, red hot with a .522 average. He hit 12 for 23 in his final 5 games of the regular season. But the Hamilton Cardinals find themselves in 7th spot in the power rankings. What say you about the Hamilton Cardinals, Neil?
They're finding different ways to score runs now. I think this is the team's realized, okay, we can't rely on the gaps. We can't rely on the home runs anymore, guys. We're not that team. We have to find ways to manufacture runs, and you see them pushing across runners. You see guys that used to hit a lot of home runs now giving themselves up, squaring for a bunt in a situation. Hey, we might be a 2-1 ball game, but they're trying to make it 3-1 and everything else. And of course, And then they also seem to get complacent at times, like they did Tuesday night against Guelph, up 5-1, and it just seemed like that one big inning did them in again. That was the 8th inning. It's just nothing went right on the field, and it all went to crap in a hurry. So it's just like that, and lo and behold, Sunday in Brantford, the same sort of thing happened, up big, and then got clawed back into it. But to their credit, they went out there, were down a run in the 9th inning. They rallied to get that run back. But then it was just, the Brantford juggernaut that's going on, the wagon that is huge right now is in Brantford. That thing's the size of a Buick by itself. Never mind anything else. But yeah, it's just, it's not how you want to go into the postseason, but at the same time, you build off it and go, okay, yeah, guys, if that's the last, 10th inning we lose because we lost, be like, again, had an opportunity at the top of the 10th inning, just didn't get the job done. Had a runner at third base, couldn't get the job done.
Yeah, like we were all there on Tuesday.
Yeah,
which was kind of cool. For when Hamilton played a lovely Guelph, and it was for that game. That game was strange because first off, I left early. I don't know if you two caught that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, so I left, and it was 4-1.
Yeah.
I got home, whatever. Woke up the next day, and they lose. I was like, what happened? What did I just watch?
The 8th inning, that's what happened.
What didn't I see?
I think I gave you the Cole's Note version was like this long of a paragraph.
Yeah.
A lot of words we can't repeat.
Yeah, yes. But it was just like puzzle. You know what? Like I would think, from the start of the year to now, I think not many people had this kind of season for the Hamilton Cardinals after the busy offseason that they had. And I think they're really looking forward to the playoff season to kind of breathe and then start fresh. But I will say, a side note here, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I had a very, very small piece of, I think it was Sunday's game, or maybe even Saturday's game. Andrew Lawrence playing second base.
Yeah.
He was using one of my lovely gloves from the man cave.
Okay.
Not a very
borrowed one. All right, there we go.
There.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
That's what you were doing on Tuesday. You were offering gloves to everybody, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. People would come up to me, hey, do you have this glove in your car? Do you have this glove? I'm like, I don't have anything except for pitching gloves, unless somebody wants one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like as far as Hamilton, didn't go the way you wanted to. Fresh start from the playoffs, start the way you wanted to start. And I think that's, you kind of go from there, because again, you two, like, to see Hamilton at technically the 7th spot at the start of the year, you wouldn't have thought that would happen, especially in the last week of the season. So I think the veteran core in that room, bring the troops together, go off into the new season in the postseason.
Yeah. Let's move on to number 6. Who's the team that is not even making the playoffs ahead of 3 other teams in the IBL? What are the experts thinking here? Brantford Red Sox.
Lost their damn minds.
The Brantford Red Sox, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But again, just to explain it, the power rankings is a ranking of the power, if you will, on any given week. The standings, throw them out the door. How did this team do this week? That is what the power rankings are. And the Brantford Red Sox, to finish off the season, 5, 6 games in a row that they've won at home, they find themselves with a heck of an August, and they get themselves into 6th spot in the final power rankings of the season.
This team is going to be a lot of fun to watch next year. If they can keep this core together, I think they got a taste of how it felt to win, finally. It's taken them a long time to get there. And now it's just like, you know what? This team is just, I don't know. I feel the energy off this team as you walk away from that park and you want everything else. You see it on social media. You see people go, hey, this team's not so bad.
Yeah.
This team's actually entertaining to watch. I think they're going to grow a fan base this year in the offseason just on the potential of what's going to happen next year. If Terry can keep these guys together, keep everything going in that direction, yeah, you're gonna have to buy tickets next year, folks, but you're gonna make it damn well worth your money. So get the season tickets early. Get them now. As soon as they go on sale, go buy them. Invest the time in this team, please. They're gonna make it worth your while.
Yeah, I think the what you're seeing in the Brantford Red Sox now, if they had that kind of swagger or the baseball gods were looking down at them earlier on in the season, I think we would be speaking about them in another season coming up. So it's really cool to see how this team really made this whole season come to an end on that kind of a note, because there's nothing worse than seeing a team just go through the motions, knowing, hey, we're not making the playoffs, so why are we doing this, right? Nobody wants to watch that. The fact that this team came in knowing they weren't making playoffs and then stirred the massive pot in the IBL.
They flipped picnic tables. Never mind stirring. They flipped picnic tables. Let's just put it that
way. They shook this league, and it was cool to see, because I know at the start of the year we kind of alluded to it. Hey, they had 60 days to figure this out, and they've done very well for what they had. And maybe if the games, the one-run losses turn into wins, maybe we'd be talking about it. But now we're seeing kind of the luck change, and it's exciting in Brantford. I'm going to say this right now. It's must-watch IBL baseball, because you don't expect these guys to win, and they are catching fire now. And I think that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, and they have some.
Whoever's got to run the liquor licenses there in Brantford, get the paperwork done now, because you're going to sell a lot of beer next year. Just get it done.
It's going to be a party.
Yeah. Shout out to Marshall Crocker. He does the play-by-play at Arnold Anderson Stadium. He couldn't make it to do the preview show here tonight, but he's going to actually be my technical director for the Guelph Storm games coming up. So I'm going to see a whole lot of Marshall coming up in the wintertime. That's what he's going to be doing in the off season for baseball. But he did a phenomenal job this year, and he sent me off a few notes. The guy is detailed. Let me just put it that way.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
you sent us the email, and it was just it was great to read, and he's passionate about this.
Yep.
And it's nice to see somebody like that. And Brian, of course, they did a great job with the calls and everything else. I was very thankful to get the opportunity to go down there in the early season and see everything else and step in that booth for one more time. It was kind of fun. Need better seats, guys.
Let me get some cushions. Some cushions for 26.
Some cushions. Yeah, please.
But I want to key in on a couple of things that he did send to us. I mean, the 6-game home winning streak to end the season, reflecting their capability of their top end pitching staff. You can allude to some of the offensive players. Ren Takioka, a prime example of that and what he was able to do. He says he actually modeled himself after Ichiro. Takioka did, and more of a focus onto his plate approach away from push bunting. This pundit thinks he could win multiple batting titles. Came close this year, let me tell you that much. But when you look at that pitching staff, the priority on the mound remaining at this point is going to bolster that bullpen ahead of 2026. And one other thing he did send me as well is that after the last game, Jeremy VU ended up having a speech to the rest of the players and said, quote, "We're one of only 2 teams in the league who get to end our season on a win this year, so let's savor that." It was a great point, and this Brantford Red Sox team in 2026, if they can continue to build on what they did in the last month of the season, they are going to be scary, and yes, they will make the 2026 IBL playoffs, in my opinion.
Oh, if they play like they had in the last month, goodness, yeah. I wouldn't want to play these guys.
Nope.
I the Hamilton Cardinals sure the heck don't want to play these guys anytime soon, and Fernando Rodney doesn't want to have to face these guys ever again, so that's beside the point.
All right, so that is the Brantford Red Sox. They come in at number 6 this week. Moving on to number 5, the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers. They did lose their final 2 games of the season to London and Welland, as they were trying to battle for possibly as high as second place in the IBL standings. They find themselves in the 4th seed, battling Hamilton in the first round. But not a bad end to the season. They were hitting .310 in the month of August. Pitchers had a combined 2.72 ERA in the final 5 games of the season, but they do go 2-3. So the numbers are there. They just didn't get the consistent results down the stretch in order to climb where they could have gone to, again, as high as second seed in the IBL standings.
And I think their downfall really revolves around they've given up the first run of 9 straight ball games now, 9 straight. So if you're gonna always have to play from behind, that puts a lot of pressure on your batters. Puts a lot of pressure on your pitching staff to say, okay, man, I can't let another run across. Not sure when the bats are going to wake up, if they're going to wake up, and everything else. So it's just like it puts you in a really bad position right off the bat. So like they're going to be probably thankful for the reset switch like everybody else is on postseason. But yeah, it's just 9 straight just seems kind of high. I think they hit 302 actually in the last 10 games or something like that too. So it's just it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them in the postseason when they get the Cardinals and everything else. And they never faced Owen Boone, but they're going to get them game 1. So they're going to get it firsthand. Hey, guess what?
Welcome.
You might have 2 hands, but guess what? We got a Boone. So
we got a Boone.
We got a Boone.
Yeah, you know what? Like they really finished the season off 2-3, but I don't know. Like it's a young core that really hasn't experienced a whole lot of not gonna say adversity, because they really haven't had high expectations yet. But I think especially the last weekend here, they were just trying to figure out, okay, who's going where, how do we figure out a playoff scenario within a regular season game, and I think that's what they were trying to do. I think.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know. I guess it's a young team just trying to figure it out themselves and know what they have versus knowing, like, playing without certain players in their lineup because they're going to be losing a couple bodies. So I think they're going to be all right. Again, it's a whole learning experience. A lot of these teams have been around for, heck, almost 100 years. We're on year 2 of this program here. So
well, exactly. And
they have
last
a lot.
year
they've done more than what people expected. So you can't really fault them at all.
Yeah. Last year they floated under the radar because nobody knew who they were.
Yeah.
They didn't have an identity, they didn't have any existing history. This year it was like, okay, I think actually when I had the meeting with Dom and Harry on the state of the franchise, I think I actually did pick them to finish 4th. I have to go back and watch it, but I think I did actually pick them to finish in the top 4 as far as stuff goes. And that was just me being, okay, this team, this core is going to surprise some people. And I think that's what they did over time too. Plus, they figured out how to steal games on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
After teams had played the Saturday. Yeah.
We'll have to go back to our season preview episode to see how bang on we were on our actual predictions. To be honest, I don't want to put them on here right now, guys. Just go look at our season preview episode. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Neither do I.
Yeah, we'll do the comparisons. We'll let you guys take care of the comparisons. But
shout out to Dan Dominguez for always pumping the numbers for us too as well. And he provided some numbers tonight too. So thanks again, Dan, for saving our butts.
Yep. Hey, Dan's a good supporter of this show. We always know that he's chiming in with a comment or two on the social media channels. By the way, leave a comment on the social media channels, Facebook, X, or on Instagram. You can also like and subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify as well, wherever you are getting this podcast. But the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers, 4th seeded going into the IBL playoffs, but they come in number 5 in the power rankings this week. Let's move on to the Guelph Royals. Well, really, guys, this was a team that's really just spent the final week of the season just trying to get guys qualified more than anything. They do split that home and home with Hamilton before they get that come from behind win against the Kitchener Panthers. I'll touch on one other thing in just a moment, but what did you guys make of the Guelph Royals here this week?
This game is just, yeah, it's so different from what we saw earlier in the first half of the season, even the second half going into it. But that once all the pieces arrived here and everything else, and everything's starting to figure out, guys starting to figure out the roles and everything else. I don't want to play these guys. I don't want to play these guys. No, no, no. I don't want to have to play these guys, but at the same time, it's going to be a fun bunch to watch. Just because it's going to be a fun bunch to watch now. They've got everything where they want it to be. And I think you saw it Saturday night too. It's just like, okay, guys picking each other up. It's just as far as, okay, we don't have to hit the home runs here. Yeah, they're nice to hit. We don't have to hit them here. We've got big gaps here in this ballpark. We can run. And you saw that. And it's just like, okay, yeah, these guys can hit the gaps, the holes, and everything else. So I feel bad for the pitching staffs that have to go against this team now. I feel bad for the batters that have to face this pitching staff now because they're all here. And they're not going to go away quietly, guys.
No.
Dino's going to have this team, finding ways to win. He knows what this team's strengths are and how to use them. So I thought last year was fun. This year could be a lot more of the same thing and a nightmare for the opposition.
Well, I'm glad they listened, to our first half of the year on the pod.
Yeah. We were bang on with those pods.
Yeah.
Spot on.
We were.
But hey, you know what? Great. Figured it out. Awesome. Let's go back to Tuesday. They had a starter go in, couldn't really muster up, but that's baseball. It's life. Custodio comes in, and I think it was 10 out of the 11 batters were strikeouts.
Yeah,
something like that.
2/3, 11 strikeouts, ridiculous numbers like that. It was just like, yeah, okay, that's why we got that signed.
Yeah, and the thing is, it wasn't like your questionable calls. No, this was like, hey, here's my pitch, please try to hit it, and it was impressive.
He was just going out there. Yeah, the home run he gave up to Dominguez, that was his second batter or whatever. Like I think that was his first or second batter, and it's like, you know what, whatever. He's gonna miss once. Yeah,
again, it was very impressive just to be there to witness that. I also watched it from beside, the Hamilton dugout, which it is.
Yeah.
But it was super cool to see Custodio there do his thing, but then also get, I'm not gonna say a play-by-play, but from the legend Fernando Rodney sitting beside me, explaining, okay, this is what's happening. He's leaning. He's gonna throw this pitch. Boom, that pitch was thrown, and I'm like, it was more of a learning session on my end.
Yeah.
Whether I wasn't supposed to be that, but I was sitting there just soaking it all in, listening to what he has to say. I thought that was the coolest thing.
What did that mean to you to be able to take in that?
I thought for me personally, I was like, man, this is like one of baseball's best ever to do this game. And to me, to be on the same, we sat on the same like picnic bench, but it was just cool. It was just like, if you were to say, hey, 10-year-old Braeden, you're going to sit with a guy on a picnic bench who is on the Hall of Fame ballot, and him explain to you what is happening in front of you two, there's no shot I'd ever believe that.
No.
And to me, to be it kind of in the same role as him in the IBL, to him to explain some like other like knowledge stuff to me, because I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I knew exactly what he was talking about, and everything was making sense to me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, this is why you're this guy, versus somebody else trying to explain, oh, this is how pitching works. No, it's not how it works. He's dissecting a whole at bat, and it was bang on. And I was like, wow, okay, yeah, you're somebody. Yeah, I wish somebody recorded him explaining a lot of things, and I was like, this is something extra.
Yeah. Why didn't you have your camera phone on there, pal?
Well, first off, I didn't think I was going to be allowed to sit majority of the game.
I know. It's not.
I don't know if the coaching staff knew like I was there, but hey, a lot of the players knew. Like they came up, like dabbed me up. It was cool. Boato, talked to Boone. Don't know if I was supposed to be there, but hey, it is what it is.
You were there. He was,
just
happened to be in the area. Yeah.
Again, it's the tour around the league. It's Ferrington Watch 26.
Yeah. Oh
God. There we go. Where's the shirt coming?
Hey, Fernando did say, "Let me talk to whoever." I was like, "Okay, you do. I'm not going to stop you."
All right.
Hey, Fernando Rodney is going to be a reference for you.
Hey, I'm all in on that.
Doesn't matter where you end up going, you take that.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is a segment, obviously, on the Guelph Royals. They will be taking on the London Majors in round number 1. And that's who we move on to next in the power rankings. The London Majors coming in at number 3 this week. They split the final 2 games of the regular season, and they lose that second place showdown to Barrie in the final game of the regular season. What do you guys make of the London Majors this week and just the season as a whole?
Well, the first half of the season, they were gangbusters. Second half of the season, it was kind of, okay, maybe reality caught up to them. Maybe a lack of depth caught up to them as far as stuff goes. But yeah, I think they were 13 and 14 the second half of the season. Since June 16th or something like that. They had that huge run to start the season. So that, they got the distance in there and just be able to, kept the tank above empty on most nights, some nights, and just got through those nights. Sometimes by wings and a prayer or Skylar Janice and his arrow shots or something. But yes, as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, this team is just, I don't know. I just don't have the good vibe about this team for some reason. There's just too many, I don't know, intangibles here with this team that it just, I don't know. Hard to put just on the finger on one thing. But yeah, it's just you've got question marks here, you got question marks there, but somehow they still finished third. So what are they doing differently than the rest of the league's not doing?
Yeah. I just think as a whole, this team leaves you more than what you see, kind of thing. Because I'm not gonna say it's like smoke and mirrors, but
No.
Start of the year, yeah, they won games, perfect. That you play the game to win, great. But a lot of people don't also know is that a lot of the other teams really didn't have the same rosters as they did the second half of the season.
Yep. Oh, exactly.
So, like, is it a real, does the record really reflect who they are as a team? I don't think so. And that's just me being honest. Yeah, I spent 10 years there. That's fine. But I just don't, I don't know. There's just something about this team that, you know what, like, you just don't feel right. It's not an easy conversation, especially with the fan base. You know what? I've seen the excitement coming into playoffs. I get it. I'm like, but it's just like, yeah, great, but I just don't see how it's going to translate when it gets in the postseason. Like I've been on 2 championship teams that completely different feels.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I'm glad, honestly, they finished the season with really next to 0 injuries. Because that at the end of the day,
for the first time.
Yeah, that's
for the first time, and I want to say 4 years.
Yeah,
they've not really had any major injuries.
I'm very confident in saying is, hey, like, I'm proud of the guys for not getting hurt. Because nobody wants to see injuries happen. That's just first and foremost not fun for anybody. But again, there's just a lot of question marks about depth. And are you going to overuse those guys now in a very much a must win when it comes to playoffs? Because nothing against the team, but every game it felt like a must win game 7 situation.
Yeah. At least in the last 3 weeks, anyways.
Yeah.
Like it just seemed like it was like, do you want to talk about the 9th inning on Friday night? Like as far as what we saw anyways on the video and everything else? Because
we can. we can.
It just seems like I don't want to pick any single money out or anything else. Is that something we need to worry about going into this postseason that could get ugly or confrontational, or is it just gonna hopefully they patch things up and we're moving on?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like, yeah, we're moving on, whatever. It is what it is. But like, as a player, I don't. I choose my word carefully on this one.
No, exactly.
Because
I don't want
I
to get you in trouble.
I know Skylar very, very well. He's a very high intensity guy. He's been around baseball a lot. Was he the typical Skylar that we know? No. The ball wasn't really in the strike zone, but he probably was very much aware of that.
Yeah.
Like as a ending of a game, 8th or 9th inning guy, you're there for one reason: shut the door. When you don't have your stuff, you kind of have an idea. And you're like, okay, how do I figure this out on the fly?
Yep.
Then having somebody probably in his ear doesn't help the situation. And he's a very high intensity guy, and which we all love. And I think he was like, okay, no, like, please stop talking. I need to figure this out right now. And he did. And I'm proud of him for doing that, because you know what? It could have gone very, very the opposite way. So I'm very happy that Skylar figured that one out, because you know what? I like seeing a happy Skylar.
Awesome. Congratulations to Skylar on tying the record this year. Like, heck.
Yeah. Like, that's
12 saves, man. Like, hey, in this league, that's a lot.
Yeah.
In most league, that's a lot too. So you know what? Hey, go put your name beside David Mendez, man. You deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
Put your name beside it. You absolutely deserve it.
And honestly, I'm glad that he was able to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, kudos to him. Yeah, you know, and I think for him, he is a baseball nerd and a historian. So I think he's not gonna take it lightly. I think he's actually gonna cherish that. Be like, okay, that's something cool. I'm gonna have that forever. So I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, that is the Hamilton Cardinals. Wow, I did it again this season, boys. That is the London Majors, as they will take on the Guelph Royals in round number 1, but they end up finding themselves in number 3 in the power rankings this week. Let's move on to number 2, the defending champion Barrie Baycats, losing to Hamilton on Saturday, but showed up in a big way in that second place showdown on Sunday. And how about Hayden Jaco making his return to the Baycats lineup and doing something that not too many players can hang their hats on?
No, exactly. You know, apparently we've been told by somebody else that Kieran Bowles actually pulled off the feat not so long ago, but we don't have the research in front of us, so we'll have to go look that one up ourselves. But Kieran Bowles, of course, Hayden Jaco officially playing all 9 positions in the IBL. Of course, the only one I could think of in recent memory before Bowles came out of the woodwork here was Carl Elmbro, and I think it was in 1995. He St. Thomas with a blow. I just remember St. Thomas blowout and Embro pleading with Dino at the time that, hey, let me go play here, let me go play there. I'm going to pitch one inning because it's already 18-3, so why not? It was a nothing game. Yeah, so you just kind of let it happen as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, Barrie Baycats, they were.
And I also maybe want to touch on this too. I don't know if there's research on it, but I think he also might be the only player, maybe in the IBL, to play 2 positions, like position, and then pitch in an all-star game. Because he also did that.
He did.
Reichstein was a DH in the all-star game, and they pitched, and I think he went out somewhere. But he might be the only one.
God,
he might be the only one.
As far as I know.
Oh, we'll have to get somebody to look at that one. Won't be me this week. I'm kind of busy.
No.
Well, we'll get our friend in Chatham Kent to do that. How about that?
Yeah, that's going great. More homework.
Exactly. We're just the worst teachers in the world. All we do is give homework assignments every single time. Don't worry, we do have more homework assignments for you on the other side. But first, we have to touch on the Welland Jackfish. They come in at number 1. finishing the season with a loss to Kitchener, but again, just trying to get their rotation set. I'm curious to see how that rotation shapes up for games 1, 2, and 3. But again, we haven't said if we haven't said it enough. We're gonna continue saying it right here. The Welland Jackfish, a plus 189 run differential. The closest to them
Yeah.
was a plus 28 for the Barrie Baycats. And I gotta give a shout out.
Good.
I was pulled aside on Sunday, and I was told by I'm not going to name them, but someone from the Jackfish to give a shout out to the pitching staff, especially for what they have been able to do in the last few games. The last 5 games, nearly a sub-2 ERA as a pitching
Yeah.
staff. And really, this is a pitching staff that has been doing very well for themselves all season long. The offense is the offense again. You look at that run differential, but the Welland Jackfish, despite the final loss of the season, they find themselves still atop the power rankings here yet again.
You do, and you look at that number and you just call them a juggernaut. They went wire to wire this year. First place was theirs the whole season long. They didn't lose, they didn't drop out of first. They had a tie with London. They never dropped out of first. So hey, J-Mac, Ryan Harrison, the crew out there, the game day staff, the social media teams, everything else. You guys bust your butts. You don't get enough credit in this league. A lot of people hate on you. And because they don't really hate on you, it's more like they envy you. They quietly just wish, hey, you could go. I wish our team did this. I wish our team did that. So but they hate on it. And, it was not so long ago. It was the Brantford Red Sox was in that boat. It was not so long ago the Barrie Baycats were in that boat. So wear the jacket with honor, guys and gals. Just wear it. Tip your caps and say, hey, some days, you're going to be wishing it was like this down the road. I'm not going to say it's happening next year. It's not happening tomorrow, but at some point down the road, you're going to be like, hey, I wish. Remember when we were this good? And everybody else hated on us. How do we get back to that? So enjoy the ride while you can, because there's days the bumpy road comes up and it's like you bust a tire and nobody gives a rat's ass. So you know what?
Yeah, as the saying goes, you don't boo nobodies.
No, exactly.
Like they are a very well-oiled machine from top to bottom. I've witnessed even like the stadium, like not janitors, but like the cleaning staff there, like everyone treats them with respect, which is super cool.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are within that.
The head groundkeeper's got his own bobblehead.
Yeah, like that tells you everything. Like it's so cool. Like I wish I could be like one of their fans, younger and just passionate like that. Because like that'd be the coolest thing. Just being a part of that wave right now.
Oh no. It's great to see. It's great to see how much that team has come in the 6 years they've been in Welland.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the Burlington years were great because they weren't. You don't bring up the word herd or bandit around certain people in that team and just hope to live for 5 minutes afterwards. But no, it's just great to see. And you can't talk enough about their record as well. Because nobody in this league's ever won this many games, this many years in a row.
No,
it's unheard of. It's unheard of. It's just, and these aren't teams these aren't the teams that Toronto and everybody else faced back then either. These are stacked teams they're going up against night after night after night. The talent level in this league has gotten that much better that the fact that these guys were able to put this number together on a season by season basis is darn near improbable. It's just a testament to everything that these guys are doing. Every man and woman to a person down there is just going out there and saying, okay, how can I make this team better going forward? So wear it, guys. Wear it. Wear that badge. Wear that jacket. Hey, your flowers are coming.
Massive fan base, success. The question for the Welland Jackfish is, are they going to be like the New England Patriots where they can supplement that success on the field with championship after championship after championship? Yes, they have one. Or are they going to be like the Toronto Maple Leafs where they have a lot of success? They're filling the seats every single time. The Leafs just won an Atlantic Division title the last hockey season, but still haven't figured it out in the playoffs. So that's going to be the question for the Welland Jackfish. Are you going to be the Pats or are you going to be the Leafs? And
Mm.
again, and you alluded to it in a previous podcast, Neil, where, Ryan Harrison has trumpeted saying, we're not the villains. We don't want to be the villains. We're just
Nope.
here to have fun, and we're just looking, to, run a baseball team and be successful in that way. When you get to this level, sometimes the villain jacket finds you, and it's about
Yep.
what you do with that villain jacket that defines you. And again, you go to the New England Patriots, people, and I felt it even as a kid, right? Where being a
Yep.
fan of the team, I was getting a whole lot of hate anytime I even mentioned that I was a Pats fan, and I was getting a whole lot of grief anytime that team would
Yep.
lose. I feel like that's the similar story with the Welland Jackfish and their fan base too, where they're going to feel that hate because I think everybody wants to see a winner lose. That's just the way it works in sports.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. But the Welland Jackfish are well-deserved winners of the pennant for a third year in a row, and they find themselves with an opportunity to put themselves into the record books yet again with a second championship in 3 seasons. And again, Pats or Leafs, Welland Jackfish, which one of the two are you going to be?
Yeah.
We're going to move on to the next segment on the other side. We have the IBL Inside Pitch Awards. We have our homework assignment. We have the mailbag and much, much more. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Hi there, everybody. Mark Pare here from the IBL Inside Pitch. Well, the Intercounty Baseball League playoffs are here. Who is going to take the championship for 2025? Will the Welland Jackfish run the table and win their second championship in 3 years? Will the Barrie Baycats go back-to-back? Will the Guelph Royals re-enter the IBL Finals and finish their story this time around? Or will it be a dark horse like the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers? Can Hamilton do it? Could the Kitchener Panthers pull off the impossible? Who knows? That is what the next few weeks are for. That is why we play the games. Don't miss a moment of the action. Check out all of the action of the IBL postseason on YouTube and Cable 14 for you Hamilton fans. Find those links on theibl.ca. Once again, theibl.ca. Go to the top right corner. You'll see on the tab that says watch, and you'll be able to find out when and where your favorite IBL teams are in action all playoff long. Welcome back to the IBL Inside Pitch, the awards edition. My name is Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't have a 10-minute rant for you.
There
But
we go.
we do have some awards to give out. This is just our picks and our opinions. The official awards will get Neil. Actually, first of all, we'll start with that. When do the official awards come out for individual players?
So the MVP, Rookie of the Year, and Manager of the Year usually get announced at the end of the postseason because they usually let all the dust settle, and usually it's like the first 4 days after that. I get handed a whole bunch of stuff and say, "Oh, my graphics are this, and this, and by the way, that's one too." So there you go, as far as that stuff goes, and then so that's how that usually transpires. It might be a little earlier this year, depends on how fast the managers, the general managers, vote on the ballot and everything else. I know it's supposed to be going out soon because again, you want to let the managers reflect on what happened in the regular season because the postseason has no bearing on these awards. It's just the regular season, so it's regular season performances and everything else. Because some team doesn't make the playoffs, so it's kind of hard to judge their performance on a guy that's not in the postseason.
All right. So let's get to the award. Well, first of all, let's just give a congratulations to award winners that we do know already, just based on
Yep,
the season statistics.
exactly. So congratulations to Evan Morrison. He wins the Batter of the Year award, the batting champion award as far as that stuff goes. Congratulations to Nolan Boone on being the pitcher of the year because he had the lowest ERA in the league as far as that stuff goes. So those ones happen, of course. Then we have the reliever of the year for the first time this year. It's still yet to be named by after anybody else like that. So hey, somebody's got an idea as far as okay, somebody was a great reliever or somebody was a great pitcher that needs to have something in their honor in this league. Hey, by all means, step up, show them some ideas so I can pass it up the league channels here, and maybe that will happen as far as that stuff goes. But congratulations to Skylar Janice on being the reliever of the year because he had the most saves in the league. Well, we'll have to look at the criteria next year. We have some ideas as far as that stuff goes, but we don't want to tip our cap as far as that one yet.
let's get him a big trophy so we can hang his Beverly Hills 90210 jacket on it.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Well, the other ones are just up for interpretation and voting. We don't actually have votes, us three. We're just
Nope.
three schmucks. But the MVP, the manager, and the Rookie of the Year awards, we are going to hand out just ourselves our opinions on who we think should be winning those awards. I'm gonna go last on this one. Neil, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Thanks.
You're
Thanks. So we're going
welcome.
here. Where are we going? Rookie of the year first, or are we going all
Let's
three?
let's go Rookie of the Year first around the horn, and then go Manager, and then MVP.
All right. Well, let's go my top three as far as this stuff goes. So obviously it was Evan Morrison, Brendan Luther, and Tristan Clark from Barrie. And they've all had great seasons for various reasons and everything else. And Clark, I just like the story. I like the fact he was away from baseball for so long, started his family, and then got the call, came back, and my goodness, he was great to watch this year. A lot of highlight reels, a lot of pop in that bat, and just lots of fun to watch this guy be thankful for an opportunity to play the baseball game. And then, you go to Brandon Luther and just go, I love this guy. I love his energy. I love what he brings to that team. And just like, I just love this guy. I love this guy to think. And then you got to look at Chatham Kent, look at Evan Morrison, and knowing him from when he was with the University of Waterloo and going, thank God he's no longer there. Because it's just like, let's just say he was up there with Owen Bleep and Boone some nights as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. But yeah, I went with Evan Morrison. I think he just had a better year, and I think he was more important to his team as far as what his contributions on and off the field as far as stuff goes with his team. And that's not a shot against Brandon or a shot against Tristan. It's just you take him out of the lineup, and well, this is what's going to happen in the postseason. How the Chatham Kent Barnstormer is going to do without their leadoff guy that was hitting .422 in the regular season. So that's where you're at with that. That's why I went with that choice.
Fair enough.
For me, it really came down to two, and like Neil talked about the two. But I'll go the other side. For me, it was either Evan Morrison or Tristan Clark. For me as a pitcher, that's all I'm thinking about right now. Who would I rather have behind me, or even in the offensive lineup here to drive in runs? Like, tough way to go. But like for me, it's gonna go Tristan Clark, because if I'm on the mound and I know I have somebody behind me that's gonna make a play automatically, not even like you only have to second guess it. It makes my life easier as a pitcher. So I'm going the Tristan Clark route because he's made some plays this year that made me wish I would, want to go back out in the outfield and make those kind of plays, because it was cool to watch.
I actually agree with Braeden on this one. I go with Tristan Clark, and I want to take us back to, I believe it was June 1st in Kitchener, and the catch that he made at the left field fence, robbing Junior Ibarra of a home run. And immediately, as soon as I saw that, I said, that guy is a superstar. That guy is a superstar in this league, and he is a rookie. If he qualifies for Rookie of the Year honors, I said it to myself on June 1st, and I say it today. If he continues on this trek, he is deserving of this award. Tristan Clark, in my opinion, deserves the Rookie of the Year awards. And that, again, is all due respect to my favorite graphic designer in the IBL, not named Neil Srivastava or any of the other graphic designers that worked for these teams, Brendan Luther, and obviously Evan Morrison, who ended up winning the batting title as well. I just think Tristan Clark is able to, supplement that offense with amazing defense. So Tristan Clark is my pick. Let's move on to Manager of the Year, and we don't talk about this stuff beforehand. In fact, we just ended up picking these now. Although I think the other two did a little bit more thinking about this than I did personally. Although I've been thinking about this kind of stuff all season long anyway. But when you look at the Manager of the Year, Braeden, we'll start with you this time.
For me personally, it would have been, I don't know if we can even say it, but it's a manager that's now no longer with the team. That would have been my choice, 100%.
Yep.
But now he's no longer a manager of a team, so we can't choose him for manager of the year. So it kind of puts me in a tough spot. So for me, it's okay. How do you, as a manager, navigate a whole season here? You got to deal with injuries. You got to deal with personnel in the room. You got to figure all that out and then put the best product out on the field. Me personally, I'm going to go with Josh Matlow. That guy has probably seen more injuries happen in one season than any other team has seen. Yeah. And it's not like, like soft tissue injuries. This is like, knock on wood, but like some of them could be long-term injuries going forward. So the fact that he had to kind of navigate that, plus put a good product on the field, and then somehow go to the field and smile every day, like kudos to Josh for that one, because that's stressful.
Neil, you're next.
Lucky me. No, I want to echo the sentiment as far as this stuff goes. But yeah, the same reason we can't pick the guy we wanted to pick. He's no longer a manager. But, he did a great job with that team and everything else. But, hey, managers are hired to be fired eventually, even in this league. So eventually, you can't get rid of 28 guys, but you can get rid of one. So that's what they did. And that happens. But yeah, you look at what Josh Matlow had to overcome this year as far as injuries and everything else. Like, most teams in this league would not recover from what they did. Most teams in this league would not start the season in that little bit of a tailspin, the championship hangover and everything else, and find ways out of this thing. They would just, okay, yeah, it's not our year, whatever, move on. Not Josh Matlow. He's somehow gone through tooth and nail, got these guys going in the right direction again, and winning the most important game of their season to this date so far on Sunday. And it's just been, okay, it's not been an easy road to get there. And that's not a shot against Brian Esri and everything else, because Esri, dude, like if they ever have a Hall of Fame, you're like going in first ballot automatically here, just because of the job you've done with that team. But yeah, it's not a shot against Esri, because he's not going to get the credit he deserves again, because a guy like Josh Matlow had to go through a hell of a lot more than you had to, as far as that stuff goes.
And I think everyone in the league can agree to that too.
Yeah. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet for all the reasons that you guys pointed out. Josh Matlow, plain and simple. It's a clean sweep, at least for us three here. For manager of the year, it is the field manager of the defending IBL champion Barrie Baycats. Let's move on to the most valuable player. I'm going to start this one this time, because you guys got to start the last two. I was actually torn on this one, and I thought about Owen Boone for a little bit, just because of the impact that he has on the Hamilton Cardinals and the way he was able to turn some losses into wins for this team just by being so reliable. If he got the run support, I think Neil attested to this a couple of times already, whether it's on this pod or previous pods. This Owen Boone probably should be about 10-0 this year with the way he's able to pitch in this league. Obviously, the first 9-inning no-hitter in the IBL in almost 50 years, but my mind goes to the Welland Jackfish and just how dominant they were this year. When they always think about MVP, they always think about, it's, who's most valuable to the team. You remove this one individual player, how much of an impact will it have on the rest of the team? Well, it feels like with Welland, if you remove any of those guys, it's going to make a difference, but this is a team that's so well at scouting. They're going to find a way to just get it done anyway. I mean, we saw it with Jake Sanford when he left. This team just kept chugging along even without Jake in the lineup, and I'm glad to see what he's been able to do with the Ottawa Titans organization. But when I look at the players that are remaining and the success that they had all season, I was torn between Jonah Wisner or Matteo Porcelato. And I really feel like Matteo Porcelato, all due respect to the hitting champion in Jonah Wisner with his 66 hits all season, Matteo was not far behind with 57. The average was near 400. The guy still steals bases like nobody's business. My MVP, Matteo Porcelato of the Welland Jackfish. Neil, we'll go back to you for your MVP.
All right. So yeah, I had Porcelado on the short list. I had Owen Boone on the list too as well. But I went with a dark horse this time. I went with a really dark horse that I don't think a lot of people are going to think about. I went with Jordan Castolo of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the reason I
Oh,
went behind it was just because again, you mentioned off the top, you take this guy out of the lineup, take Jordan Castolo out of the lineup, you lose 5 or 6 more games where he's actually either put you guys back in the lead or tied a ball game late that the Maple Leafs somehow hung on to, or at least back into a ball game. He led the league in home runs. He was third in RBIs. Yeah, he was 11th in average, but you know what? Jordan Castaldo had one of those years that Jordan Castaldo's had 3 times before. And maybe he gets a legitimate conversation piece for an MVP award because he's had one of those years. And it's been hot and cold at some points too, but where are the Maple Leafs without him? The Maple Leafs make the playoffs without Jordan Castaldo. That's my question to everybody out there voting.
Right, Braeden.
so I'm going to do something. People will understand this pick. Some people might agree. Some people might not agree. It is what it is. Especially for my reasoning, though. For what you guys said, if you take certain body out of the lineup, where is that team? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you take Owen Boone out of the Hamilton Cardinals starting rotation,
No, yeah, you just
where are they? Just because I know when he was a teammate of mine, we would always reference it as Boone Day.
Yep.
It was always a calm feeling. Everybody's like, okay, we know what we're going to get here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Goes
Boone
out,
Day.
Boone
Yep.
Day. You're going to get 7, maybe
Those
8.
are the days I hated.
Yeah, you're going to get
Those are the
7
days I hated
games,
when we were on the other side of them. Yeah, so no question.
and you just knew, especially as a bullpen, you're like, okay, this is the day I get off. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have to throw.
Does the Intercounty need a Cy Young Award kind of award that really signifies this? Because again, should the pitcher be considered the MVP? But that's a whole other discussion for a whole other day, another whole podcast with scientific backings behind that, all everything else. Because again, it's just like we only have the one award, so you have to go that way. That's why Claudio Custodio has jumped in, won that in the past. Why Owen Boone should definitely be in this conversation. But again, is it going to split the votes so that somebody else doesn't, who's deserving as a batter / player and everything else, isn't going to get the same nod? Because okay, I've got to pick between this guy and this guy now. This is not fair.
It's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. And I didn't go with Owen Boone because again, it's just because, yeah, it's just a whole pitcher thing. It's not a shot against Owen because God knows it's been a hell of a fun time to be able to cheer for you, Owen, not hate you every 5 minutes, every 5 starts, every 5 days. Here, it's been a hell of a lot better to actually cheer for you and walk away going, I like the other side of Boone.
Yep. But yeah, my choice, Owen Boone. Just it's personal for me, and I'm glad to see him back in the league and dominate.
Love to hear it. Well, those are our picks. Once again, the IBL Awards has closed for yet another year. Let's see. Let's say you guys, who you think is deserving of the IBL Awards. Again, MVP, Manager, and Rookie of the Year. Drop it into the comments section, whether it's in our social media feeds or even just on the direct podcast links at Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, wherever you might be watching or listening to this here. Mailbag, guys. You want to get to a mailbag segment?
Let's do some mailbags.
All right. So first of all, Neil, maybe remind the public of the homework assignment from last week. Mr. Srivastava, what was the homework assignment? My dog ate it.
Your dog ate it. Jeez, man. Yes, it was like we wanted to pick you guys to pick the dark horse this year there as far as this goes. And the best broadcast team, best social media team as far as this stuff goes, because you want to get some props of things that we don't have league awards for officially, and everything else. Just to give some guys and gals out there the flowers and everything else. And you guys didn't disappoint as far as the text messages and whatever else. It was like literally, I think I got a text message from somebody at 2:45 in the morning because they had just finished listening to the pod as soon as it dropped. As far as the stuff goes, I'm going, thank God I got my phone on mute, but still, it's great to see. You know who you are.
What did some of those messages contain? What are some of the first of all, let's start with the dark horses. Who are some of the common teams that popped up? I know I saw Chatham Kent a couple of times. I think
Yeah,
I saw
Chatham Kent
Guelph
was
once
the
or twice, but I don't know if you can really call them a dark horse with what they have now. But Chatham Kent was definitely common.
Yeah, Chatham Kent was definitely up there. Guelph was in there again. Yeah, I guess you can with a sixth spot and everything else, but they're not a sixth spot, guys. Don't let the standings fool you because this team ain't at six. This team ain't at six as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, Chatham Kent might be the team that might surprise some people. But again, if you look at how the regular season finished and how the brackets finishing, you got some potentials for some scary matchups coming down the road here as far as some teams might, if they can somehow pull off that first round win, might find themselves against a team that they don't want to face in that second round because it'd be a ratchet from last year's semifinal again, and all bets are off. But I think it would be it'd be a great series to grab some popcorn and watch for 5 games.
Yeah. Well, I'll be working 2 of those 5 games. So,
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. And
um,
we
yeah.
go props out to the social media teams as far as this stuff goes. Congratulations to Brantford Red Sox. I think of the 7 people that texted me and everything else, I think you were on everybody's ballot. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Julia.
Mhm.
Congratulations to the folks and everything else. Just everybody, you guys from Red Sox Nation, you killed it this year. And everything else, you made everything relevant. You brought everything to the front stage. You handled the vote for Emmett stuff very, very well. And everything else, like I got messages from people I haven't talked to in years, and they're going, "Who's this Emmett kid?" So it's just like, and it's like I had the delight of sending him off to, "Hey, this is Emmett," and everything else, and they just they see why it resonated so well.
I
They
was a
saw why.
celebrity in Hamilton.
Oh yeah, like heck, who didn't know Emmett?
Mhm.
You got more airtime than most people did.
Literally.
But also just for the social media team, I got one message. Brantford was at the top of the list. The league was number 2. And I just have to give flowers to Neil and just the great work that you were able to do over the last year. And the numbers just show it. Just
Yeah.
phenomenal job. I can't say it enough. I say it all the time to you, and just to put it on a public forum here, just the excellent job that you were able to do this year, with the social
Well,
media,
thanks.
with the league.
Well, thank you. And it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of
Mhm.
work, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of passion behind it too, just because you know how much I love this league.
Mhm.
I go to a night sleeping about it, and I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning going, "Oh crap, I got to do this, this, and this," because
Yeah.
or I'll have this really stupid idea at 2 o'clock in the morning. And go, okay, maybe I can pull this one off. And it's weird things like that. But it's just like I want to see people understand the passion. I want to see people
Mhm.
understand why this league is so great and why it's such a hidden gem in Canada in baseball in this area in North America and everything else. But it's only going to get better. It's only getting better. So it's just like my whole job editor thing is in the back of my head going, don't mess this up. Don't be the guy that f this up or something. Just let the wave ride and just try to highlight the things that are going on. Make sure that everybody, hey, knows that so and so did this, no and so and do that. Or if you
Mhm.
find something cool that we can kind of, okay, cool, we didn't know about that. And it's just try to tell those stories too. So it's been a lot of work but a lot of fun. And there's days I wake up and go, okay, it's another day, let's see what we can do today. And just like, okay, what fires do I got to put out too? It's just as far as stuff goes too. Who
Yeah.
did what now?
Yeah.
What's that guy in Vegas saying? Like and I take it. I'll take a word back from Taylor Swift and everything else because yeah, this is Emily Thompson's fault. I'm a Swiftie now.
Yep.
It's all her fault.
This is Emily Thompson's fault. Yeah, but I watched the new Heights podcast last week, and she said
Mhm.
Taylor Swift said something very important.
Yeah.
Don't waste your energy on things as far as the stuff goes. And I'm taking that to heart more this week because
Mhm.
it's been a rough week around here. It's been a rough
Yeah.
week, and as far as some things and have been said behind the scenes and everything else that when they play out, that's why they'll play out. But as
Yeah.
far as that stuff goes, I'm gonna finish on a high note. I'm gonna get through the year, and we'll see everything else. We'll see how the cards lay out and things as far as that stuff goes. But I cannot wait for pro season. I cannot wait to see
Mhm.
the next best thing happening this year as far as this stuff goes. Because again, it's been a hell of a ride, and it's been a hell of an honor to do this stuff. It's
Mhm.
been I got given the keys to the toy store Here's the keys to the kingdom. Go run with it. Don't mess it up.
Yeah.
I pride myself on not trying to mess this up. I'm trying to
Mhm.
help as many teams as possible get to that next level to help,
Yeah.
these guys that are playing here that,
Yeah.
have no idea how great this league is when they get here, but when they leave,
Yeah.
my God, they know.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. And
And that's where I'm at.
I just want to say this as well, and I feel like this needs to be said as well because you know what? We need a team to actually get this kind of stuff done, to reach that next level. And I know there's a lot of people that are out there that they'll either criticize or they'll do anything except, hey, here's my hand.
Yeah.
I'm willing to help.
Yeah.
I can volunteer this amount of time to get this thing to the next level. And again, high tide rises all ships. Be that high
Yeah.
tide that allows these ships to rise instead of just, instead of going out on a public forum and chastising and criticizing every little thing that you might not think is perfect. Maybe lend out that helping hand. Reach out in a direct message, reach out in an email and say, hey, I noticed this might be better to do it this way. Be
Yeah.
constructive instead of destructive, and help
Yeah.
us all create a better product at the end of the day. And that goes beyond the IBL. That goes in life, really. It also extends to the IBL inside pitch. So if you wanna, if you don't think even we're perfect here, if
Yeah.
maybe you want to help out and pump out more content on social media because all three of us have we got a lot on our plates. I mean, I'm doing calls for 5 different teams on a 12-month basis for
Mhm.
crying out loud, plus a day job, plus doing this. Neil, obviously, you have your work at the university on top of doing stuff for the Hamilton Cardinals. Braeden, you got your shop as well as playing your baseball as well, and trying to
Girls
possibly
softball
ramp up for 26. And you have
and the
so
girls
much to do as
softball.
well. Sorry,
Yeah.
Yep.
And coaching girls softball and
and
running
girl.
their socials. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, it's the prime definition of a working man's league in the IBL, and all three of us are no different. So those that are listening, those that are watching, that feel like that you can lend that helping hand. We
Mhm.
know that we're not perfect. Lend that hand out. Send a direct message to us, and we are more than happy to answer the call and help build whether it's the IBL directly or the IBL inside pitch. We're more than happy to take the hand and try to grow this into something even bigger than what it already is. And that's my soapbox for that.
There we go.
The other homework assignment as well, Neil. Talking broadcasters.
Broadcasters. And this was interesting. This was very interesting as far as this stuff goes. And it was hard. I think it was a pretty split vote as far as some stuff goes. The old standards in there were London as a cars, everything else, and of course some guys going with Chatham Kent because these guys have come leaps and bounds in 2 years. Like
Mhm,
as far as this stuff goes, and you got to recognize those guys out in Chatham Kent because they might be small, but my goodness, they're mighty. They're as far
mhm,
as that stuff goes. Yeah, it was a split vote as far as that stuff goes. I don't think there was a clear winner, but a lot of guys got a lot of props as far as this stuff goes. I mean, they shout out to Thomas West and everything else for what they have to do. They don't really have a home base there, guys. They're underneath a tent, so
mhm.
that tent at times can take off on them. So it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for those guys.
Yep. Yeah, the facilities play a big part in this kind of stuff too, and there are restrictions behind the scenes that certain teams have to work with, whether it's budgetary and the equipment costs that come along with that.
Yeah,
Unions sometimes you have to deal with as well, and I'll even speak for us in Kitchener, and I think Kathy's an absolute gem. I'm just going to say that publicly right here.
yeah,
She helps quite a bit. She's with the IATSE union that services the Kitchener
mhm,
Memorial Auditorium property, which includes Jack Couch Park, and I've gotten to know her over the last couple of years. She is one of the best people to work with. She understands this stuff so much, and yeah, we just need the extra equipment to get it to that next level. And the people that are there, I think Kitchener's on a good path towards stepping up their broadcast game at the same time too. And I'll even
yeah,
speak for Guelph. I know behind the scenes there are critiques on just the amount of cameras and the amount of equipment that is available on a game-to-game
Yeah.
basis at Hastings Stadium, it's being worked on. It's been
It's being worked on, yeah.
it's been an ongoing thing for months on end. It's just a matter of getting putting the nose to the grindstone and actually getting this one piece or that one piece, and obviously getting the
Mhm.
people to help out to service those pieces of equipment to get it to that next level.
Yeah.
Some teams have more resources than others, but at the end of the day, we're all trying to improve this product, no matter what level it's at. And I think I speak for every broadcaster in the league that that is an ongoing endeavor.
No question. And you think back to 5 years ago when there was only London and myself doing broadcasts.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay, yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing because we had the one camera. And yeah, it was a crappy webcam that I was literally taking from my house every game to broadcast the baseball games because, it was just something, it was an opportunity for me to, do something fun and
Yeah.
everything else. It wasn't part of the league package and everything else. I know Matt and everybody else. Matt and those guys used to pack up the equipment and go to other ballparks to broadcast London Majors ball games.
Yeah.
They would sit down the sidelines at Hastings or whatever else, just at the top in the corner and everything else, and try to stay out of the way. But yeah, they would sit there and broadcast baseball games. And now, you've seen the league's seen the merit and everything else. The league is going to, as a whole, improve the product. It's going to take time, guys and gals. It's not going to be overnight. You've seen the
Mhm.
leaps and bounds in Kitchener. You've seen the leaps and bounds in Brantford this year. You've seen, other guys, always continually stepping their game up. They got drone shots in London now. They got drone shots.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So shout out to Matt.
Yeah.
They got drone shots in London. Let's just put it that way. We're going to leave that one there. Matt
Yeah,
showed me that. I'm sitting in Hamilton just going,
yeah.
that was
Who
my
would have
exact
thought?
reaction.
Who would have thought that would
That's
happen?
my exact
That's
reaction.
crazy.
That was my exact reaction. Reed's like going, did you have a stroke? I'm like, no, I just got something sent to me and I showed it to him. He's like, okay, yeah. Bang. That's cool. So hats off to London.
Yeah. And just the actual broadcasters themselves, just again, the love has been there all season long from everybody
Yeah.
sending us messages, just with the great work that we do. I mean, the great work that Neil does. I'm all right. Okay. But getting some love obviously for everybody around the league. I mean, you already touched on Thomas West, Julius Hern, and Ben Davy do a great job over there in Barrie. I mean, I could just name off names. I mean, Alec Murray
Yeah.
and Reece Doumani are a great pairing over in Welland. You're going to see a little bit of an Easter egg in the next segment. Reece is one of the three, and I did drop one of these. I'm just going to say it right now. What I said was out of love, because for crying out loud, I work with Ryan Drury, who's called the biggest homer in the Ontario Hockey League on TV on a regular basis. So I have about three of these
Yeah.
available. So
Yeah.
there's nothing but love for the team in Welland. Obviously, got to chat with Alec after the game at the All Star Showdown, but I'm gonna send a couple of these down to you
Yeah.
boys. You
Oh
might
no, send
need
him a
these for the
box. We
playoffs come
gotta
around.
send him a box down or something. Get a collection plate going, something for that guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just worried about his voice. I mean, can he maintain it for all
yeah.
10 if he needs to?
But yeah, nothing but love for all the broadcasters in the league, and a lot of us got to get together in Hamilton. I got to chat with a number of them on July 20th, and again, we're a family, and we just
Yeah,
love to share
no,
the information and share the love, and we make ourselves better by associating ourselves with each other, and just feeding off of each other with the notes and just the good vibes, if you will.
exactly. And you gotta keep in mind, nobody's getting rich in this league doing
No.
broadcaster. I'm sorry, we don't. We're lucky if we get gas money in some places, and we're very thankful for the gas money we get in some
Oh
places.
yeah.
So it's just let's leave it there. But as you
Yeah.
know, we're doing it because A, we love doing this. B, we want to be a part of something, and C, we know it's baseball. Why wouldn't you want to do this? Come
Mhm.
on, if you get an opportunity to go stand on the mic and be the next Jerry Howard, the next Tom Cheek, next, whoever out there, as far as this stuff goes, why wouldn't you want to go do this? You get an opportunity, and then, I'm very thankful for as long as I've been able to do this stuff. Because again, it's just like you never know. My number might be up next year. You never know as far as this stuff
Mhm.
goes. Like, it just might be all of a sudden boom, and then he's gone. But it's just the same thing. It's just like I look back at how much it's come in the last 5 years. The things I got a chance to be a part of in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like Custodio setting that record.
Mhm.
Jose Araya is setting the London record and everything else. I got to be yelling downstairs, yelling at you when you're breaking up you're breaking the broadcaster jinx when Boone's going out there, and I'm going, I can't believe he's doing this.
Hey, it
I can't
happened
believe
anyway.
it happened anyways, but I just can't believe it. It's just like I was so happy you got to call that one. Like it was
Mhm.
just as far as everything goes going. If it wasn't me, I'm glad it was my buddy Mark. Just
Yeah.
as far as this stuff goes, because it's one of those great moments. And I know you've had a lot of great moments in the last year, my friend, and
I have.
it's been an incredible run, and I appreciate every one of them. Just because you've taken me on the ride in various places on these things, and I'm very thankful for that stuff. And Braeden, I can't say enough about your insights in these things, and as far as this stuff goes, because I'm very thankful for this stuff. Because, like I said, you never know. You
Yeah.
never know, guys. You just know you never know. It just might be your
Yeah.
time. Might be something might come down the road and say, you know what, this is it.
Mhm.
Hey, it's time to do something else. So that's where we're gonna leave it with that.
Yeah.
Try not to get
It
too
make
emotional here, because
it makes me cry, man.
Oh no,
Already tearing up
I'm
a
in the
little
same.
bit.
I've been tearing up for the last 20 minutes for just listening to you guys and just taking it in, because I'm at a stage here where it's just I think I've done everything I wanted to do in this league. Yeah, I don't have a championship ring. I don't have I don't have a wall full of awards or something behind me, because there's nothing like that in this league. But at the same time,
Mhm.
it's just like, what else have I done? Can I do in this league that I haven't done? And it's just like, okay, yeah, so maybe it's time to let somebody else be that voice. Maybe it's time to let somebody else, take over certain roles. And maybe I step back and just be a fan. Maybe I take a vacation for the first time in 30 years.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, go out
All
west and,
inclusive.
but just, no, it's just, it's something like that. And it's not like I'm not saying it's time or anything, but at the same time, it's just like going, my family has given up a lot over the last thing and everything else. I miss seeing kids in the summertime because dad's busy on weekends because he's all these other places and everything else. My kids are only going to be this young once. And my daughter gets it. Sam gets it. Kellen, my son, doesn't get it as much. Jenny's two girls, they understand it. Because they've been brought into this thing as far as this stuff goes. They know, okay, it's weekends. Jenny and dad are gone somewhere else as far as this stuff goes. But it's hard. It's hard just because, they sacrifice so much. And maybe it's time that dad steps back here and says, okay, maybe we just do one thing next summer, and maybe we just commit to
Mhm.
Friday nights. Maybe we just commit to Sundays or something like that, and just say, hey, somebody else can have the reins here. We're just gonna be along for the
Mhm.
ride. And I'm not saying this is it, because it's not. Like, I'm not coming to that decision or anything else. I'm not tired and not anything else. It's just, you know, we've hit that plateau. We've hit that level
Mhm.
that it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I might say this now, and 2 weeks after the season's over, like, okay, I gotta go do something else. Gotta get going. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Can we shovel snow off? Can we do this? Can we do that? Like, it's where I'm at. So
All
that's
right.
where we're at as far as this stuff goes.
Cool. How do I follow that up? How do we
You can't.
segue? I think that is actually it for the mailbag segment. Yeah, I don't know how to segue from that, but we touched on. You know what? I got it here. We were touching on broadcasters, obviously, just in this segment, and just obviously the work done around the league. Three incredible broadcasters in the Intercounty Baseball League were able to join us before we taped this, so that's why you're probably going to see some daytime with Braeden Ferrington
Yep.
in the next
We were
segment.
joking this was going 3 days.
Yeah, all this yeah, we also joke about IBL After Dark. Literally, Braeden Farrington is IBL After
He
Dark
is in
right
the
now.
dark.
Yeah.
He's in the dark right now.
So let's turn night into day and get into the last segment of the show here. On the other side, we have Julius Hern, we have Thomas West, we have Reece Doumani. Stay with us. You're watching the IBL Inside Pitch, the playoff edition. Hey there, everybody. Mark Pare here from the IBL Inside Pitch. Don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button here on the IBL Inside Pitch, whether it's on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. Leave a comment on any episode you want as well. We love to hear from you. And the reason why you want to hit that like and subscribe button is because we've had so much content We're going to have some episodes during the off season as well, and we do not want you to miss any of it. So again, hit like, hit subscribe, and you'll be notified anytime we are on the air. 12 months of the year here on the IBL Inside Pitch. Welcome back to the IBL Inside Pitch. I'm Mark, he's Neil, he's Braeden, and we got some friends, guys. We
got some
actually have
friends.
friends. Who knew? We actually have people that we keep in touch with. Reece Doumani from the Welland Jackfish. We have Thomas West from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and of course Julius Hern from the Barrie Bay Cats. Just to kind of touch on just how this is going to work for the viewers at home. Obviously, we have at least somebody from each series. We're lucky enough to have that, so we're just going to go one by one through each of the 4 individual series, and at the end of each one, we'll get a prediction from everybody on how each series will go. Not only the team that wins, but how many games that they win in, and maybe we'll calculate and maybe do some roasting after the fact if they're wrong. But we're going to start with the Welland Jackfish and the Kitchener Panthers, the 1 versus 8 matchup. Welland, of course, finishing off with a 31-11 record on the season. Kitchener, meantime, 17-25, 14 games back. And when you look at this series, on paper, it seems like it's pretty academic that it's Welland's series to lose. This is a team that is very much, kind of on the revenge tour, if you will, after losing last season. Reece, just first of all, from Welland's aspect, how do you feel like this series is? And I guess more importantly, do you feel like this is going to be a sweep, or do you think Kitchener takes 1 or 2?
First of all, you took one of my quotes when I talked to Gio Morello on Media Day with the revenge story. You had that one in your back pocket, didn't you?
I did.
No, Gio's awesome. Back to our days in Brantford, that was fun, and he's awesome. But it would be easy for me to say yes, that it probably could be a sweep. As a fan of the game of baseball and sports in general, there's a part of me that hope it's not. Because I do like competitive series, whether it's 1-8, 2-7, or 4-5, whatever the case might be. I just like it to be competitive, whether it ends in 3, whether it ends in 4, whether it ends in 5. That's my big thing. So I could see a 3-0 sweep. However, the Panthers did take a couple from the Jackfish this year. That includes the regular season finale on Sunday. It included one at the Pond a few weeks ago as well. So you never know. That's the way Alec and I look at it. Yeah, the Jackfish got number 1 in the IBL standings. We've got home field advantage throughout the playoffs, however far we go. But that's pretty well it. We all start over. It's 0-0, and may the best team win. So could I see it? Yes. As a fan and a baseball guy, I just want it to be competitive.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. What do you feel like could be the biggest hiccup for the Jackfish in this series?
The biggest thing I think is, and this is where quite a few of those 11 losses came throughout the season, is there were 2 stretches of about 3 to 5 games or so where we just didn't have any clutch hitting. Whatever we did, we found a way to get guys on, found a way to get them into scoring position with less than 2 outs, but then we just couldn't score them. We couldn't find a way to score any runs, and that's the biggest thing for us. That's the biggest thing I'll be looking for is, will that clutch hitting be there, or will it be a situation where we're in another 3, 4, 5 game stretch where just the Jackfish can't do that, and then they'll break out and they'll score 10 plus runs 3 or 4 straight games. Yeah. But and you're hoping that's the case for sure. At least we are. But that's the big thing is can we avoid the lull of not scoring those runners, that we get into scoring position with less than 2 outs. Pitching, I'm not too concerned about. Our starters, I think, are some of the best in the league, if not the best. I think Owen Boone and Tio Ortega could easily be the 2 guys that you look at for pitcher of the year. But the big thing for me is we got to have clutch hitting present 1 through 9, and that's what I'm looking for throughout the playoffs.
Now, when I look at some of the stats, I'll just speak for Kitchener here for just a moment, and then I'll send it around the horn here, guys. Obviously, Welland winning the season series 3-2, 59-23, outscoring Kitchener in those 5 games. A couple of key pieces for Kitchener. Junior Ibarra actually led the Panthers in the season series, batting .538. He was 7 for 13 with 5 RBI against Welland. He's going to be counted on big time, as well as Matteo Zeppieri and Yasvani Penalve. Those guys are probably going to be your 1, 2, 3 for the Kitchener Panthers going into each one. Another key it's going to be interesting to see too is Owen McNeil actually hasn't played against the Jackfish this year, and I feel like he has had some pretty good games all season long against other opponents, and I'd be curious to see how he fares against the competition up in the Rose City. Guys, just to get around the horn, just on my screen, I see Neil, Braeden, Julius, and Thomas. I'll go in that order. Neil, how do you feel like this series will go?
The question is, this is because the Welland Jackfish, can they play better at home? They have been this season. I think that's just the thing that's been sitting in my head, even from going back to last year in the series against the Royals. It's like, hey, the road team took every game in that series, and that's thing, and it's weird as far as this stuff goes, because you play all year because you want the home field advantage, but it just seems to been a disadvantage, or almost like a home field curse for the Jackfish a lot of nights. I don't know what's going on there, but just something just doesn't seem right there as far as that stuff goes. But then you go on the road with this team, and it's a totally different ball game with these guys who just seem to be more focused, more, I don't know, aware of the task at hand there as far as this stuff goes. So that's the question I have. Pitching staff, I'm glad I'm not facing Euclides Lair. I'm just glad I'm not having to watch that guy throw that breaking ball in and out, upside down, and backwards at people, because it's just going to be fun to watch from a fan's perspective. But as a batter, it's just like it's going to give you fits all week. It's going to give you fits.
Braeden, what say
Yeah. Like, the biggest thing I have with Jackfish as a whole, not Kitchener, just the Jackfish, can they win at home in the playoffs? Because like last year was a little different story. But I think this year, you know what, they have that kind of, I'm not gonna say the playoff jitters is now gone, because I think last year they're mainly concerned about, okay, we've won the previous year, we have to appease everybody. Now that kind of is gone from their mental capacity. So now I would say full guns blazing, hopefully, and then just make this as quick of a series as possible. Nothing against Kitchener, but Mark, I think you can kind of testify to this one. It might have been close during the regular season, but playoffs is a different beast. And I think, again, the revenge tour is on full mode right now.
Up next, Julius, what do you think?
I think you guys might forget Kitchener won game 1 of the first round against Welland in the pond last year. So that was kind of a big upset right away to start off the playoffs. So I think if Kitchener can kind of get some kind of momentum, very similar to how the first round started last year, that can kind of kick things into gear against the top team and be like, hey, they're beatable. They might be a team that we might be able to claw back from and get maybe 1-2 games on and make this a series.
Thomas.
Yeah, I see this being a 3-0 sweep for the Welland Jackfish. I mean, 1v8 aside, if you look at the season series, I know it was, the Kitchener Panthers did take a couple games, but if I remember correctly, I think those were 1-run games as well. And I mean, you look at 2 of the games, there's a 23-2 game, and it was a 17-1 or something like that. Like this Jackfish
Poor Mark had to
team,
call, I think, all those games.
yeah. This Jackfish team, I think, has the Kitchener Panthers in pretty much every facet. But I mean, the reason we watch the games is because baseball is the most unpredictable sport. You never know what can happen. I mean, it's a good point by Julius there as well, with the Game 1 victory last year that had everyone all the buzz, and then the Jackfish were able to put that series away. But yeah, I see the Jackfish taking this one pretty handily.
All right, well, there's the prediction from Thomas. It's going to be a 3-0 sweep. To save my job with the Kitchener Panthers, I might say it goes 4 or 5. But to be honest, I think it's going to be a 3-0 sweep. And Reece, if you can send a couple of these to Alec Murray to help his voice going into the second and third round, because I know he's going to be excited no matter what the score is, I'll send you a pack of these. Have 2 packs
You need to
of
get
them.
those guys to sponsor you guys.
Man,
After a while, right?
I'm a Halls guy. I go Halls.
Oh, really?
If I need them. So yeah. I've got like 3 packs of those in my bag at all times. So,
All right.
yeah, I mean, we're expecting 3,200 for games 1 and 3. So, it's going to be loud, and yeah, we'll probably get a little loud upstairs. That's for sure.
Hey, I mean, you have to, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I experience it in hockey arenas all the time. If there's 5,000 fans in there, even if you have the headphones on, you still feel like you have to scream just to the person 2 feet away from you. It's insane. But Neil's up next with you. Prediction for Welland versus Kitchener.
I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-0 sweep. As much as I love to see Kitchener just, shock the world again here, but I think realistically, I think Welland's on a mission this year, and I think, unfortunately, the Kitchener Panthers are their first victim here.
All right. Braeden, 3-0 sweep as well?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
It's pretty simple there. Julius, round the horn, 3-0?
No, I'm going to give the Panthers a game at home. I think they're going to
Okay.
take one in a late game surge. Could be a walk-off. I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep. I know Kitchener can be scrappy, and I think that they can take a game.
All right. So that is the Welland Jackfish and the Kitchener Panthers. Let's move on to the Barrie Baycats and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And obviously, Julius and Thomas are both here tonight. First of all, I'm just going to take a back seat to this one, and we'll start with the second-seeded Barrie Baycats. And Julius, when you look at the season series, it was tied 3-3. Barrie outscoring Toronto 56-35. You guys are the defending champions. What's the mindset over at Athletic Culture Stadium going into Game 1?
I think this team, they really locked in yesterday against the London Majors. That a big win to kind of lock up that second seed. They knew that the playoffs basically started Sunday before Game 1 Thursday. So they're already kind of in that mindset to, these games are really the ones that matter now. And you mentioned the run differential. I don't think that really represents how close the season series has been all year long, because a couple of those blowouts were at the pits. There was a big win, a couple weeks ago, 20-4 in Barrie, but the 2 wins that the Maple Leafs got in Barrie were both in extra innings. So these teams have been, kind of locking horns all year. They've been scrappy. There's been some tensions kind of boiling over a couple times this year. So we're in for a really nice series.
Just an additional question to you. When you look at the pitching staff, obviously in the season series, Frank Garces he was smoking the Leafs, if you look at it. 3 appearances, 2 of them starts, 18 innings pitched, a sub-1 ERA, 0.50 from what I saw there, 31 strikeouts to 3 walks. Safe to say, Frank Garces, whenever he starts, might just end up winning that game, and then you just kind of figure out what happens in games 2 and 3, or am I missing something?
I think that Frank Garces is a lock. He's obviously going to start Thursday night, but it's a matter of if the offense can give him some run support. There have been multiple times this season where Frank Garces has had a quality start, but the offense just hasn't given him anything at the back. Lately, towards the end of the season, the last couple starts from him have been much more what you expect from an all-around Barrie Baycats team, but it's all about getting that run support early and often for Frank Garces, because when you get maybe towards Game 3, you're really going to need that, especially with guys like Cesar Rosado starting Game 3.
To Thomas, when you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs matching up against Barrie here, who are some of your key guys that we should be watching out for to make an impact in this series, if they're going to get as far as they need to?
Yeah, obviously the Maple Leafs are not a favorite in the series, just with the way they're seeded and kind of the way the season finished for the Maple Leafs. But they're looking for X factors, and if they can get that, there's definitely a path to success. The starting rotation's probably going to be Berenbaum, Alvarado, and Franklin Hernandez, not necessarily in that order. And I don't really know how you pick between each of those guys. I mean, I think Berenbaum hits a little bit above his numbers just because, there were some games earlier in the season, like we had a couple games out in Chatham, Kent, where we had like 4 pitchers available in the bullpen. So we went out to Josh Berenbaum and said, hey, just go throw strikes. And he ended up giving up a lot of hits, but like no kidding, right? He had to let them put the ball in play a little bit. So, I think his ERA is a little bit elevated than maybe what it should be had, he knew he had some support behind him. And then with Linus Alvarado, he did the exact same thing he did last year, where, 2 seasons ago, he was the ERA leader in the Intercounty Baseball League. Then he had a super slow start last year. And then, once he's kind of started getting into things, he was really good. And like the last couple appearances for Alvarado this season were really good, with maybe the exception of the one the other night. But uh, if he can have a great start and be the guy he was 2 years ago, I mean, he's going to be right up there with Frank Garces as one of the better pitchers in the Intercounty Baseball League. But, his overall body of work hasn't really been that great this season. And then, just kind of the experiment with Franklin Hernandez, a guy who, the London Majors would have saw, Braeden, I know you would have seen him back in the finals that season. He was the go-to guy, pitched in 6 of the 7 games in the finals. And like he was tough to hit. Now he's in the starting rotation role, hasn't had as much success as a starter, but the stuff is there, especially, if he's on regular rest as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then, I kind of look at the hitting side of things where, you got John Javier and Marcus Connect, who were overall probably the 2 best hitters on the team this season. And then Jordan Castaldo, who had this crazy roller coaster season where he started off great, then had a very cold stretch in the middle of the season. And he's hot right now. Like if you saw the game the other night, he had a grand slam at 8 RBIs, and he's been hitting really well all week long. I think he hit 600 in the final week of the season. So I think that's interesting. And then the Maple Leafs still have their veteran core of the Mara brothers and whatnot, and they know what they're doing and know how to win games. And I think the bullpen is kind of something where the game might hinge on, right? The Maple Leafs are going to get into their bullpen. There's no question about it. Like, these starting pitchers haven't got very deep into the games this season for the Maple Leafs, and they're going to need a lot from Matt Brown and Luis Florentino out of the bullpen, who are both great pitchers, but, I don't know if those guys are people who can pitch more than, 1 or 2 innings.
For this one, I'm going to leave it to the guest first here, Reece. How do you feel about the Barrie Baycats and the Toronto Maple Leafs, and how this series might end up going, and what might be the X factor here?
The biggest thing for me is I'm curious how Barrie plays after that victory on the final day of the regular season. It just felt like they needed to get one. It maybe not go on a long stretch of wins to get into the postseason, but the way they were playing, it wasn't awesome. Not the way you want to be playing heading into the postseason. So I'm curious, and I was actually going to ask you this, Julius. What was the vibe yesterday after the game? Because I'm sure there was just a sigh of like, whew, all right, we're good. Like, is that kind of how it was? Because that's the big thing to me, is like, I'm sure that's going to get them in the right headspace again. But what was it like after that one?
You're absolutely right. It was very much a weight off the shoulders, because the game the night before against Hamilton, they really struggled. Logan Workington was fantastic for the Cardinals. He didn't allow a walk. Barrie only had 2 hits in the first 6 innings of the game, and they kind of tried to get something to go in late. It was kind of too little too late at that point. But Sunday, very much a different story. Adam Odd was telling me during batting practice, like, hey, this is the best BP we've had all year, because of how locked in everyone is. Everyone was kind of on time, ready to go. Everyone shagging BP, everyone, taking their ground balls. It was a very collective effort even before the game even started. So these guys, they won last year. A lot of them are back for this playoff run. They know what it takes, and it's just about, getting the job done in the games that matter most.
Yeah. So I mean that's the big thing. If they're confident heading into the postseason, this is Barrie's series to lose, no question about it. I think it'll be a 3-game sweep. I think the Barrie Baycats could do it in 3. The big thing for the Maple Leafs is and obviously you have to have the lead or be close to it late in the game, but no Dustin Richardson at the back end of the bullpen, like that's tough.
Yeah,
he's
huge.
he was the best reliever in the league, you could say, or you could make that case. So that's a big thing for me is can the Baycats build off of this one victory? It might be one, but that's all some teams need. So and then no Richardson at the back end of the pen. That's tough for the Leafs. So I just gave my prediction. I kind of probably side.
That's okay. That's all right
there for you, Mark. But I think it's a Baycats in 3.
When you think about it, last year the Baycats were going into their final game of the season on a couple-game losing streak. They go to Brantford. They have a comeback extra innings win, and that was kind of the fuel to the fire, so to speak, to kind of get them into the playoffs on a high note. You can kind of make the case that Sunday's win against London was more of the same.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Neil and Braeden, how do you feel like this series will end up going?
I'll let Braeden go first.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. I think personally it's going to be closer than people think. Will Barrie win the series? Yes, it'll be probably a 3-1, series win. But it's going to be the game to game, which is going to be like maybe a 1 or 2 run win. Like I think this is going to be honestly probably the series to watch, because honestly against for Toronto, for example, like yeah, you might not have like the superstar starting pitchers or the bullpen, but if you have Barrie on the ropes and they struggling hitting, right? You throw, say, Alvarado, and then you throw a couple guys at the pen that have different looks, different speeds, and different spins, right? Like that could be a game changer. And I think if they roll with that and continue that momentum, maybe they shock the world. But I don't see that happening, but they could. I think honestly the big X factor for Barrie would be Jaco. He hasn't played a lot this year. He wanted to play and win. That's why he came back. Like it's not, oh, I'm doing this for fun. I'm not flying across the country to, have some couple exhibition games. Like, no, like he wants to win. So I think that's the big one. Neil?
The Barrie side, my question is just, where is Cesar Rosado as far as this? Where's his mindset and everything else? He looked, one night he looks great, other nights, of course, you look at Saturday against Hamilton, and it's just, he was struggling out there a lot early, and it wasn't going well as far as that stuff goes. And then you look past him as far as, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Juan Benitez this year as far as to be that number 2 guy. If Cesar just can't do it. And you look at the trial side and you look at Agentis Alvarado, and he seems to do better when he's got somebody on the mound to challenge him on the other side. When he went against Owen Boone, he was lights out. He probably deserved a better fate than to lose that game he lost against Hamilton. But it just, sometimes it works like that. Maybe he's one of these guys, he needs to know, he needs to have a worthy adversary on the other side that he has to, go lock horns with or something and just go out there and do it. But hey, it's the playoffs now, Will Agentis. You're going to have to carry this load a little bit, and you're going to have to, and the Maple Leafs, this veteran core and everything else, they're all going to have to show up and, and put out as far as this stuff goes if they have any chance of doing this. But this series is just, I don't know, a lot of injuries on the Barrie Baycats side this year, a lot of crazy injuries too, and there's some guys out of the lineup. You might get some guys back, but you're not going to get the big ones back and everything else. But it's just going to be like, okay, it's still the Barrie Baycats. You're still defending champs. These guys have got the pedigree, they've got the mindset and everything else. They're too good of a club to just roll over too. So it's gonna be hard.
All right. Prediction time, guys. I'm gonna go Barrie, but it's gonna be in 4 games. Neil, you're next.
I think I'm going Barrie in 4, but yeah, I think one of them an extra innings, and it's just gonna be, that one could be the decider. It could just be the one that just tips it either way, as far as this goes.
All right, Braeden.
Barrie in 4, but it's going to be a very close Barrie in 4.
All right, Julius.
I'm going Barrie in 4 as well. I think Barrie takes both games at the pits. I think Toronto gets one in Barrie. That's why I piggyback on something Braeden said. Jaco told me he won't be back till the second round. So not having him in the lineup for the first round could be something the Leafs could kind of jump off of. I mean, you have Noah Hall kind of fill that spot. He came off the bench yesterday or against London. So it's a kind of good problem to have for Josh Matlow, to have a lot of guys that are starting lineup quality to kind of put in that spot in the playoffs. But I think also going off of what Neil said with Alvarado, he might be better off as a game 1 starter if he's going up against Frank Garces.
Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, the season series between these two teams is really good. 3-3. The Maple Leafs don't mind playing on the road. That was not something that was going to be a problem. Once they knew they weren't going to have home field advantage, a lot of the players were saying, that's okay. We know we don't play very well at home. So Maple Leafs had a winning record on the road. I think they like playing in Barrie. Wilhelmus Alvarado also likes the mound out in Barrie. He doesn't like playing at home as much as well. So Mark, give me Leafs in 5.
All right. Reece, do you change your mind on the prediction, or are you still sticking with it?
Wouldn't surprise me if it went 4. I'm staying with 3.
All right. That is the Barrie Baycats and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Up next, it is the London Majors and the Guelph Royals. I guess this is just me on this point with the Guelph Royals. London won the season series 3-2, but the key factor for this is going to be they only played once in the season series after the transaction deadline when Guelph made all of those moves. So this is a completely different series altogether, in my opinion. Yes, you look at all the stats. Barrie outscored. Yeah, London outscored Guelph 22-17. So some pretty low-scoring games overall. London, though, they're difference makers. You look at their pitching staff, a little bit short. They only used 7 pitchers during the season series all year. Victor Payano made 3 starts, obviously a 1.64 ERA. He played pretty good down the stretch. But when you look at how these two teams played overall after the transaction deadline, heck, after the All-Star Showdown in Hamilton, I believe Guelph was about 8-3, 8-4, when the London Majors were sub 500. So I feel like this is a series where some X factors are kind of unknown factors to each other because again, when you look at the Guelph lineup, it's a completely different lineup than 4 of the games that they played in the season series this year. So I think that could be an extra X factor here that could put the Guelph Royals over the top in this series. We're going to start with Neil on this series. What do you think about the Guelph Royals and the London Majors?
I'm calling an upset right now. Like wouldn't be surprised. I as much as I like the London Majors and everything else, I could see Guelph sweeping this one just because something tells me Payano is probably just at the point where he's at the max as far as his arm can take this year and everything else. It seems like the velocity's down. There's stuff missing. His mistakes are a lot more apparent too in the last couple of games, especially the game against Hamilton and everything else. He brought that pitch inside on Duncan, and he was hoping it was a lot more inside, and Duncan took it straight out to center field. So it's just like, yeah, if you're gonna make those kind of mistakes, they can be costly in the playoffs. And then if you get into that bullpen, like they're gonna force them to use an arm early if Kyle or Keys falters. One of these two guys falters. That's an arm they're just not gonna have for game 3 or whatever else in the game. They're gonna probably need somebody else here. So it's hard, but again, the Majors, I don't know, something about these guys this year. It's just like just waiting for the shoe to drop. And while I think it's midnight now, and I think Cinderella time's up at the ball is done.
Former London Major Braeden Ferrington. I know you've been trumpeting this all season long. How do you think this series goes, bud?
So we've been preaching this whole year. Where's the offense? I'm not even gonna touch the pitching yet. The offense. You're gonna have to.
Get some popcorn, guys.
You're gonna face this twice. Yeah. He'll start game 1. He'll come out of the pen in game 3. That's not an easy task ever. It's just not going to happen. Now we go to the pitching side. Again, I hate to say this because I have friends on this team. So I gotta use my words carefully. They better hope Payano throws well, or even comes close to anything to match Custodio, because if you get Payano out of the game early, or if this happens, unfortunately, you extend the use of Payano, that could be the detriment to this whole pitching staff for London. The bullpen, you really want to say it, you have Skyler, Ryan Patel. That's pretty much it. That's going to be used in this series, if anything. It's not going to go what fans think it's going to go. From my own personal standpoint, it's going to be a quick 1, 2, 3. Guelph is going to go on to the next round. Just to keep it short.
Plain and simple, plain and simple. And I mean, you guys aren't wrong. I mean, when you look at the Guelph Royals lineup as it stands right now, bringing in a Kaner Pena, bringing in, obviously, Franklin Torres, you alluded to Claudio Custodio, who has shown blips of his MVP year form. There was the one where he came in relief about a couple of weeks ago, and I think he struck out 10 of the first 11 batters that he faced. I
That was
mean,
Tuesday.
yeah, that
Yep.
was Tuesday. That was Tuesday. You
impressive.
go to the game, Park night against Kitchener. You go down 5, I believe it was 5-1, and then you end up coming right on back, and just showing the muscle that you have. We got into it in the first segment, but talking about Damon Topley and just the experience that he brings to the fold as well, and having a voice like that in the room is huge for a Royals team that some of them got that experience from the IBL finals appearance last year. Some of them haven't been that far into the IBL playoffs before. So, having a guy like Damon Topley who's won multiple rings is a huge X factor in the room, and a guy that just barely qualified on the last day of the Guelph Royals regular season. But again, I'll say it. This is a completely different Guelph Royals team that the London Majors are facing than what they dealt with for the vast majority of the year. And, I'll give my prediction out right now. I think London does take one, but I think Guelph ends up taking this series in 4. Let's go to.
Can I
Sorry?
add something, Mark? Can I add
Yeah,
something?
absolutely.
You alluded to, having the guys in the room that have been there.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to look on the London roster for the guys that have been there, not many. Most of them have not seen a playoff game yet in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys all know, the playoffs is a completely different beast from the regular season. Just the travel, the demand on your body, the mental capacity. There's only Byron, if you want to count Cleve to be in that room.
Yeah.
That's it. Really.
Yeah, there's not really.
Yeah.
There's not much.
There's not much left from those back-to-back championship years.
Elves are bare.
Mm-hmm. Reece, what say you about London and Guelph?
It's going to sound funny to say this, but I think the Guelph Royals are thrilled to not be playing the Brantford Red Sox in the playoffs, because it felt like Brantford destroyed them every single time they played them.
I'm pretty sure Hamilton's in the same boat.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Fernando Rodney in the 9th blew a couple. Yeah. Again, it's kind of weird to say, but yeah, for the Guelph Royals, Custodio will be a stud. There's no question about that. Takamatsu is going to be unreal. I'm excited to watch him. He's a dude that just gets fans into seats, especially in the postseason. So I'm really pumped for that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned on the London side about the pitching, and it really is interesting to think about, Braeden, when you brought it up. You're thinking, okay, you've got Payano, you've got Keys, then you start to run through the bullpen, and as you were talking, I started to think to myself, I'm like, yeah, there really are only 2 guys that really could probably get the job done, right? And so when you look at it, London have to hope he gets at least 7 out of Payano and Keys to have a shot, really, if you do want to win this series. So could London win one? I think so. There might be just the factor of playing at Labatt Park might favor the Majors in one of the games. I think Guelph has too much on their side for London to overcome. So I'm going to pick the Royals as well. I think it'll be in 4. I think the Guelph Royals will, I don't want to say steamroll, but they could win a few of these games pretty heavily.
Next up, we'll go to Julius. How do you feel about this series?
Guelph is not a true 6 seed by any means. I was actually speaking to Roop Chanderdat yesterday, and there's a reason that both Barrie and London put out their, as a quality of a lineup in that last game of the regular season, because nobody wanted to play Guelph in the first round. They both know that that's a totally different team than any of them have really seen for much of this year. So, with the new additions like Pena, Custodio, this is an odd series where Guelph as the lower seed is really favored.
All right, Thomas.
Yeah, I think Cleveland Brownlee and Damon Topley are going to be telling their locker rooms about 2021 when they were in the finals together. So, yeah, that's a battle of 2 legends right there. I could see Damon Topley coming up with something big in the playoffs. That would be a lot of fun to see on the side of the Guelph Royals. Yeah, I think this is going to be a close series. Like, there's no question the Guelph Royals are better than a 6 seed just because of, the players that they were able to add after the trade deadline. And, I think the last game that they played against each other was kind of a good representation of how much better the Guelph Royals have got. It was funny, Travis Keys ended up starting that game, and, Guelph got to him. They ended up getting 7 runs off them. 5 of them ended up being earned. The Guelph Royals won a nail biter. Both closing pitchers came into the game too, Edgar Garcia and Skylar Janice. So, it was a great representation of both teams kind of, putting everything that they're going to put into a game 1, game 2 kind of scenario in the playoffs. And the Guelph Royals came away with just a thin margin. So, I think this is going to be a close series. Could end up being one of the better ones, but I don't see the London Majors getting swept away or anything like that. They were good in the regular season, and there's still a lot of good things that could go right for them in this series as well.
And when you look at the pitching matchups potentially for game 1, obviously Victor Payano is probably going to go. And then when you look at the Guelph Royals, I mean, take your pick: Claudio Custodio, Jacob Cush. Antonio Frias may have struggled a little bit since he was acquired, but he's a pretty good number 3 in that rotation as well. So I think for myself, I'm going to choose the Guelph Royals, and I'm just not a fan of picking sweeps, other than if it's completely and utterly obvious. No offense to the Kitchener Panthers, of course. I'm gonna say the Guelph Royals in 4. I think London takes 1 at home. Who hasn't given a prediction on this series yet? I think everybody's kind of taking care of that. Julius.
Julius is in.
Yeah, I think I got this series going 5 games.
Okay.
I think it's closer than a lot of people realize. I think it's still going to be the Guelph Royals taking it, but I think the home team wins every game in this series.
Makes my job easier at home this series, that's for sure. All right, so that's the London Majors and the Guelph Royals. Let's move on to the final series. It is the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers and the Hamilton Cardinals. Chatham-Kent won the season series 3-2. They also won that tiebreaker on August 8th, which actually factored into how they ended up seeded. If Hamilton ended up actually winning that game, Hamilton would be getting home field advantage in this series. Bring it to Neil here. Neil, obviously, you do the games for the Hamilton Cardinals. How do you feel like these two teams match up?
This is going to be an interesting series. It's going to be interesting because the pitching staff for Hamilton is just going to have to go and do a lot of stuff here as far as the stuff goes. Owen Boone's going game 1. They're probably going to go out there with 2 hands against on the mound for Chatham-Kent because Fukuda's probably going to be pitching at home as far as that stuff goes. But again, it's just been like these teams have played differently outside of the parks. Like as far as Hamilton's played better at Chatham-Kent than they have against the Barnstormers at home this year. And it's just been kind of one of those weird things where it's like, okay, yeah, these games have been really tight and everything else, but it's just like it seems like the Cardinals just seem to be a better team against the Barnstormers in the smaller park for some reason. Whereas it's the exact opposite for the Barnstormers. They can't wait to get on the road there. They don't want to play it. They don't want to play the Cardinals at home because that lineup is just loaded up on the one side here, and it's just like it's all under the gravy train as far as right field goes. But it's hard. And the other thing is going to be the departures on the Barnstormer side. They lose Evan Morrison. They lose Braxton Haggith to school now. So it's like, okay, there's 2 big pieces out of your lineup. Your leadoff hitter's gone. So now it's like, okay, so now who steps up in the leadoff role? Who goes into these other spots here? And it's going to put a lot of pressure on Sadler Goodwins of the world, the Spencer Marcuses, the Spencer Morans of the world to step up and have to fill those voids here too. It's just going to be like, and the other thing is that Chatham-Kent's I think they've been trailing in the last 6 games. They've given up the lead early in all 6 of those games, and just it hasn't gone well for them. And that's the difference where they are finishing the stand. They had an opportunity to finish 2nd or 3rd, depending if they would have played a little better down the stretch here, but the things didn't work out. So it's going to be hard to see.
We'll start with Thomas here. This is a 4 versus 5 series. Traditionally a 4 versus 5 series in an 8-team playoff is usually supposed to be the closest of them all. Do you feel like this is probably the closest of the 4 series?
Well, to be honest, Neil just broke the news about the players that were leaving for the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers. I didn't know that many pieces were leaving their lineup. I mean, I'm pretty sure Morrison was a 400 hitter this season. Like,
he led the league.
That is their strong suit. Pitching is not going to be the strong suit for the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers. I mean, if you look at the three pitchers they're probably going to throw out there in the starting rotation, none of them are shutdown guys. They've all been guys with, ERAs well over 4 this season. Not to say they couldn't have dominant starts. I mean, we saw Akatsuka at Christie Pitts be pretty good a couple times as well, and throw a whole bunch of pitches. He's got a rubber arm out there, or 2 rubber arms out there. So, that's going to be, I think, a big turning point in this series, just in terms of, can Chatham-Kent Barnstormers still keep up their production? Because Hamilton's got them in the pitching department in terms of the starting pitching department. Like, I think that's where they hold a pretty solid advantage in this series. But, Chatham-Kent's always the wild card. Like, ever since they joined the league, they've always been that scrappy team that, finds a way to get it done, and everyone's doubting them, and they end up getting it done. And just the distance traveled getting to Chatham-Kent, I think, is always something interesting as well. I mean, obviously in the playoffs, there's a little bit more leniency with, this is a working man's league, and, a lot of players are coming from work and whatnot. I think there's a little bit extra effort to kind of, get off work and make sure you can make playoff games rather than regular season. So, you're not going to have any problems with seeing complete lineups out there. But man, from making that bus trip out there a couple times as well. I know it's a little closer from Hamilton than from Toronto, but that's taxing on your body as well.
Absolutely. Julius, we'll go to you next. When I look at this series, and first of all, I look at Hamilton's pitching, and you guys touched on it a little bit, just the comparisons with some of the pitching here. Hamilton's pitching staff had a 1.84 ERA in the season series, just absolutely deadly. But the big question obviously is, without Evan Morrison or Braxton Haggith, so where do you get this offense from? Who do you think might be the X factors in this series if Chatham-Kent wants to pick up the offense on what has been a deadly Hamilton pitching staff in this season series?
Yeah, for Chatham-Kent, I think if you're Harry Muir, that's the reason you go out and get a Victor Plas, right? He ends up qualifying the final couple weeks of the season. He's a great hitter. He hit 364 to end off the year. So knowing that those 2 big pieces aren't going to be around for the playoffs, now you're really, you're really leaning on Mitsuki Fukuda, Yushin Oda, those guys that came in this year and had pretty decent statistical seasons to kind of boost your team where the pitching might not really get you to where you want to be, especially against the Hamilton lineup with Tyler Duncan and those guys that can mash on any given day.
To Reece, I look at the offense for the Hamilton Cardinals, and in the early going of this season, this was a team that wasn't really scoring all that much. It was a team that, if they were winning some very, very, very close games, and relying on the pitching to really just, hold the opposition to 1 or 2 runs. In the playoffs, it might be a similar story because, we have seen a lot of playoff series and a lot of playoff games where things are a lot tighter, and, games traditionally are, a lot closer than some of these blowouts that we've seen. What do you make of this series, and do you feel like there might be a couple of blowouts in store, or do you feel like this could be a very, very tight series for a 4 versus 5?
I do think the games will be close. I don't think there will be any blowouts. I could see the biggest gap maybe being 5. You're right about the Cardinals scoring. Owen Boone has probably 10 wins if the Cardinals can score on a more consistent basis. Neil?
Let's just say there's been a lot of F-bombs let off the air some nights.
IBL Inside Pitch After Dark, guys. Let's drop the F-bombs there.
Well, and it's funny because and on Thursday during the Welland Kitchener game, Mark, Alec and I were having that conversation about who gets pitcher of the year, and you start going over the numbers and you think, well, if they just scored a ton more runs, in these Owen Boone starts and not relying on Boone going 9 and no hitting the opponents and not allowing anything, he's probably got 10, 11 victories this season. Who knows? But I think this series will be close runs wise. I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody's really going to run away with any single game. The one thing for me is, can Chatham-Kent play clean defense? I think that could be one thing that could factor into this one. And we saw it on Saturday in Welland for our home finale. It's only a 2-0 game heading into the 9th inning. If the Chatham-Kent third baseman could play proper defense and make the plays. We saw Oda make an error in the first inning. We saw Plaus come in and make an error in the second inning once he came in on a strange substitution early in that game. But that'll be a big thing for me for Chatham Kent. You know, I think the atmosphere in both parks will be fairly similar. Chatham Kent will be full. Hamilton, since their resurgence with Eric taking over, and the heck of a job they've done there. I think the atmospheres will be fairly similar, but you know, this one's hard for me. I'm really struggling picking a winner. I really am, because I think Yokoyama is a really good starter. I think he has a chance to have a gem in the series. Owen Boone, obviously, you know, Adonis as well. I'm struggling with this one. I really am, because I think it's a toss up right now about who's going to take this one.
All right. Well, when we go to predictions, we'll save Reece for last, so I'll let you think about
do.
it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna start it off. I think it's gonna go 5. But I think without Haggith or Morrison, I think that could be the huge X factor in this series. I think Hamilton takes this one in 5. Neil.
This is where it's kind of weird. What if let's play the what if scenario? What if Owen Boone falters in game 1? Does that put you guys, what does Hamilton on the heels in game 2, and that puts that pressure on Friday night? All the unders, lights, those keep your cameras, the whole bit. That just tightens everything up here. But it's just like, okay. And it's, you know, as much as everything else, he's been brought in here to do a job and everything else. But hey, even the best guy has a bad night. So, you know, if he falters that game 1, it could be an awful tough hill to climb back for the Hamilton Cardinals here. But yeah, I think honestly, if things go the way they're supposed to go, this one goes for Chatham Kent does get their first win in franchise history in the playoffs. But again, it's just I think that the missing pieces in the lineup are going to be probably the difference in this series.
All right. I'm gonna go to Thomas next for this one. What's your prediction?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting series. I don't necessarily think all the games are going to be close, though. Like, Chatham Kent seems to be the land of when things get bad, they get really bad for the opponent. It'll probably come down to pitching, but if I had a secondary, it would come down to who can hit more balls out to right field, because it's just so volatile out there in Chatham Kent.
Yeah.
And that kind of circles back to pitching, right? Like, I think the Hamilton Cardinals do a lot better job of getting the ball on the ground in terms of their starting pitchers. You got to get the ball on the ground out in Chatham Kent, because, you know, either you're giving up a triple to the deep part of in center field, or you know, you're giving up an opposite field home run, or, you know, a pulled fly ball the other way.
Yeah.
So I think the Hamilton Cardinals end up taking this one, but it could be wild. Like, I could see some 14-run games where, you know, maybe your starter doesn't do so well, so you take them out after 60 pitches so they can, you know, depending on how where you are in the series, maybe you take someone out and just kind of give it up. Maybe some home runs leave the yard as well. So I'm going to take the Hamilton Cardinals in 5.
All right. Julius, you're up next.
I think Neil's right in the sense that if Owen Boone or even Reece Doumani, for that matter, struggle early on in a start, Chatham Kent can really just kind of keep spraying hits out. You know, they're not a total power team, but they just keep tacking on runs, and, you know, late in the game, that's what's really going to help them out. So pitching is going to be key for both teams in this series. I think Chatham Kent can actually get this one. I think they're a scrappy team. They're going to take this in 5 games, but it's going to be a slog of a series.
All right. Braeden.
Pitching wins games for sure.
Says the pitcher.
Yep. But then this is also something that I don't think people really know. For example, because you guys have alluded to it, say Owen Boone falters. His faltering is probably going to be better than Chatham's pitching stat. Like, just to be honest about it. Like, sorry, Harry.
Could be,
To say it.
Yeah. We did witness him throw 300 pitches in a week.
Yeah,
a couple of years ago.
It wasn't even a week, it was 5 days.
Okay, 5 days.
I think there's too much veteran presence on Hamilton. I think they know, okay, it's now we have to get the job done. There's no more fooling around. Let's just slam the gavel down here, end it. Chatham, you're your first playoff victory. Congratulations. but I just don't think it's going to be close. Like this will be wrapped up, I think, pretty quickly. Yeah, I just don't think Chatham, with the two guys attracted to their lineup, have enough firepower. So it's going to be a 3-1 series. Book it.
Right, it's booked. All right, Reece, have you figured it out?
I mean, I think so. You guys brought up both great points on both sides. One thing I forgot to mention earlier on, and I know he really doesn't have a ton to do with what happens on the field. I was a huge Gil Rondon fan. I was a big guy, and I even talked about it with Sadler when he was up for the All-Star game. Like, guys just love him. Like, that's a major league guy. You shut up when he talks. So again, managers in this league, they don't necessarily coach. They're there to manage the staff and make moves and do all of that. Yes, there's some coaching involved, but really not a ton. I think it will be in 5. I think it'll be Hamilton in 5. Do I think every game is going to be a 1-run game, 2-run game? No. Could I see a 4 or 5 run gap? Yeah, I could. But you're right. Who can handle the long ball better on the mound, and who can hit more in the batter's box? So, yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Right. Well, that's all 4 series, guys. Thank you so much for coming on here today, Reece, Thomas, Julius, and all the best to all 3 of you coming up in your respective series.
All right, thanks, Mark.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
John.
you. Same to you, Mark.
And to everybody that is tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of the IBL Inside Pitch. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to advance into the second round. And you know what? Let's do some bracketology, why don't we? Fill in how you think the IBL playoffs is going to go. You can send us an email anytime at iblinsidepitch@gmail.com. You can also comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But until next time, we'll be doing this again right before the second round. This has been another edition of the IBL Inside Pitch.